few words from our sponsors. Before you go and visit anyone, please make sure you check out their website to make sure that what I'm telling you today still stands true. Thank you again to all of our sponsors for making the show possible, especially during the pandemic. Now is the time to pre-order using Herbology's website. This allows the team to fulfill your order quickly and with minimum contact. Herbology's #1 priority is the safety of you and their team. You can call their Westminster store at 443-487-4552 or their Gaithersburg store at 240-654-0911 for more information, and visit myherbology.com for additional details. Thanks, Herbology, for the support. Evermore is working hard to ensure that each transaction is safe both for the customer and the employee. And to help facilitate this, they are asking you to order ahead online and use CamPay. They are working extremely hard to make sure that you have the essential medicine that you need. And you can visit them at evermorecompany.com for more details. Thank you, Evermore. The team at Pure Life Wellness is working overtime to ensure they are able to remain open and continue to serve the community. We can help them by ordering ahead, signing up for CamPay or using their new debit system, and making sure we maintain our distance when we go into the store. Visit them at Pure Life Baltimore for all the details. Cannabis Science Conference has moved to June 29th through July 1st. You can visit cannabisscience.com to purchase tickets and use the code MJ25 to get 25% off your tickets. I am so excited to get back out there and see all of you, so come geek out with me at the Cannabis Science Conference. Thanks, Josh and Andrea and the entire team for supporting Conversations with MaryJane. As a result of COVID-19, Peak Relief asks that if you need to obtain medicine, order online or call them at 301-703-2400 to place that order ahead of time. All orders must be placed using the online system on their website or by calling them. Additionally, please allow for 1 hour for them to process the order before picking it up. While we do anticipate longer than usual wait times, they are encouraging patients to wait in their vehicles and to take advantage of curbside delivery. While visiting inside the facility, all patients will be required to maintain a safe social distance of 6 feet from all other patients and from the staff. They've indicated areas on the floor and the seating so you can make sure that you're maintaining that distance. And they're asking all patients to abide by these new protocols. In fact, I just saw on Instagram that you need to wear face masks when going into the store. So add that to the list that you need to do if you are going in. That's why they're so encouraging you to do website ordering or call them so you can do the curbside pickup. In fact, I've been doing it when I've been visiting dispensaries. And although I do miss seeing everyone's face, does make it a lot safer and easier for everyone involved. A few other important notes about Peak Relief: their hours are still 10 to 8 p.m. You can sign up for their newsletter and text messaging so you can stay up to date with all the information at their website. If you have any questions or concerns, email them at info@peakrelief.com, or you can call them at 301-703-2400. Thank you, Peak Relief, for your commitment to the community and to the show. Southern Maryland Relief is committed to the safety of their patients and staff during the COVID-19 pandemic. Temporarily, they've changed their hours from 10 to 7 Monday through Saturday and 11 to 6 on Sunday. They also have some new protocols. As you go into the store, make sure you have your ID ready. They're going to ask you to hand sanitize. You'll be wearing gloves. There's red tape on the ground so you know how to stand 6 feet away from everybody. And additionally, only 8 people are allowed in the store at a time. So if you can imagine, having your patients, when you visit them, would be helpful as they are working through new protocols to keep all of us safe. You can visit them at somdrelief.com to place your online order. You can also request curbside pickup when you arrive at the store. So take a look at their website to learn about all their new protocols, and the best reminder that they give: please remember to spread kindness during these challenging times. Thank you, Southern Maryland Relief, for your support and that beautiful reminder. I met James back in the spring of 2019, so almost a year ago. And despite being in the best health of my life, I still was sick, anxious, and depressed. And over the course of the last year, we have worked week by week, discovering what food works best for my body, creating meditation and mindfulness practices that set me up for my best day, and preparing my body, mind, and spirit holistically for daily challenges. My work with James has been transformational and has provided me the strength, courage, and equanimity needed to live the life that I want. If you suffer from chronic pain or illness, and if you feel like you have tried everything and still haven't found relief, maybe my holistic wellness coach, James, can help you. You can reach out to him at james@sparkvisionnow.com. Thanks, James. And now, on to the show. Happy 420. And welcome to a special edition of Conversations with MaryJane. I'm so happy you tuned in, and I hope whatever you're doing today to celebrate 420, you are doing it with the attitude of gratitude and remembering what makes cannabis so special. And that's what I've been doing the last 3 days. I've interviewed 20 people for 420, and I've had them tell some of their favorite cannabis stories, ranging from their first time to their favorite time to the moment they realized cannabis was more than something for fun. I'm so grateful for those stories. It's lifted my heart and made me laugh, ranging from, man, what happened when you had a little bit too much edible, to the moment your example changed someone's mind about cannabis. That's what I've been hearing. And so I'm excited for you to hear all of those stories. I am super sad that we're not together enjoying a blunt or a joint or a dab or an edible, whatever your preferred way is. But I am excited that I get to see you through digital and spend a little time with you today. Before I send it over to our sponsors for a few words, as well as into I think the best part of the show is the interviews, I did want to take a few moments and talk about what 420 really means. So my very dumb ass, which never thought to fucking Google why we celebrate 420 or where 420 came from, always thought it had to do something with like the police code. Like that's when you know they had the weed, when they used the code 420. That's totally not the case. In fact, it was like a group of high school boys who used that code as friends in the 70s. And their names were I Googled it, see, it was the Waldos. And they have the proof that they used the word back in the 70s, and it was the band Grateful Dead that kind of got it moving. So it really has nothing to do with the police. But that's why we come together, right? To celebrate our love of cannabis and the legalization of it and the unrolling of decades of, the plant not being known for what it's known for, and prohibition and nasty rumors and mistruths. And so 420 gets more and more exciting as we get to share our love of the plant. But while we're in this, thinking about 420, I want to always bring our mind to something that's really important. So here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and cannabis has been listed as essential. And we get to celebrate 420, and I'm sitting here smoking my blunt. And at 420 on 420, I'm going to walk down a city street in Baltimore. And I get to do all of that with no fear. And there are people sitting in jail for doing the very same things that we do. And so while we're sitting here trying to figure out this pandemic and all of these things, we need to remember that. And when things get back to a place where we can start to work again, that's something we need to think about and we need to work on, because there should be nobody in jail for cannabis when it's listed as essential in a pandemic. That's just insane to me. And so while we celebrate and while we have a good time, and I don't say that to bring you down, but I say that for you to remember how lucky we are right now in this moment that cannabis has been labeled essential. And now, as gratitude, we need to go to work and get our brothers and sisters out of jail for doing the thing that I'm about to do in just a little bit. So thanks for tuning in. Happy 420, whatever you're doing. I hope you enjoy these stories. Thank you to every sponsor who helped to make this show especially possible. And thank you to the 20 people who opened up their hearts and opened up their homes as we did it through Zoom. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Basically, we're just asking a bunch of people some questions about cannabis to share your experience, since we all can't be together on 420. Although I feel like I'm going to go walk down a street away from everyone at 420 on Monday.
I think you should.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do to celebrate.
I like it.
So what did you want to share with us today?
Yeah, so while I've been advocate for cannabis for a long time, and I thought it would be fun to share the first story of when I first smoked, but I decided to go a different route and be more vulnerable today.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah, and so I figured, because in the past 6 months, I've had a deeper realization as to how medical cannabis is really helping me. So for more context, I've enjoyed cannabis for quite some time, and I've had my medical card here in Maryland for 2 years. While I know there's so much to learn, and I've educated myself a lot about it, but I originally got my card to help with migraines, and that was years ago, and it helped across the board. But it was really in the since I've had my son and was really struggling with postpartum depression and anxiety, and that's really what shifted it for me.
Yeah. I had, one of the reasons I started using cannabis was for mental health reasons.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we've been really lucky with the medical cannabis program and, having access and really all of those things.
Yeah.
And just because if you had listened to any episodes from before, because this is a pneumonia virus, I've been very concerned about the way that I consume cannabis.
Yeah. Yep.
And have significantly tried to reduce it all the way up to stopping it altogether.
Yep.
And we got to see what that was like and how different, what a difference in my life it's made.
Yeah. And that's, I've been trying to be cognizant of that too. But because more recently, my lungs just can't handle it. And so even though that's my preferred way to smoke, my lungs just can't handle it. And sometimes I just suck it up and I'm whatever. But right now I'm the symptoms come with it. I'm I need to be able to tell the difference. So I've definitely been shifting, which granted shifting since becoming a mom, but then also more recently as well.
Yeah.
But speaking to what you're saying as well, as for when I was pregnant, it was a long time of not using cannabis. And so that was a big realization too. It was just my anxiety was out of the roof, and I don't know if that was from, I think it was a variety of things, obviously.
Yeah.
but
cannabis, pregnant, I can name 2.
Yeah. So that was something that went a long time without having it. And then once I became a mom, then I had this judgment on myself about using it. So I didn't know the impact of it has on breastfeeding and et cetera. And then also just there's this socially acceptable norm of moms can have wine and that's okay. But a mom smoking weed just seems irresponsible. And the thing is I would have never judged another mother for doing it. And yet I was doing that to myself.
Yeah.
And that was something I had to get through.
Yeah. That's actually probably the stigma we attach to ourselves is probably the biggest one that we have to overcome, because it's the one that we feel the most, right? Is that one. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. That is, God, so many moms
Yeah.
could use this.
Yeah.
And so many moms right now
Yeah.
could use this.
Absolutely. And it was, because it was, for me, it was like a big tank after, like, I was doing really well right after giving birth, and like was just like actually surprised. Like I prepared a lot because I'm like prone to anxiety. I was like got a like postpartum group, and like I amped up my self-care, and like I even took up running. Like I was doing great and was like, we're killing this, and like we're doing a great job. And then it was like when I stopped breastfeeding, and when I was going back to work, and then like was reducing breastfeeding and pumping, and I was like not prepared for the dip in hormones that was about to happen. So it was like these two hormones that make you feel really good, like oxytocin and prolactin, that help with breastfeeding. And that my like daily dose of that was completely gone. And so
I didn't know that was. Obviously, I've not read much about pregnancy. That's awesome.
It's like incredibly fascinating, like how much like my body could handle, and like how like after like in that like my honeymoon period after giving birth, I was just like looking at myself and was like, I'm like look at everything I did. This is really cool. Like a new like appreciation for the female body. And then it was just when those hormones started to dip, like I always knew I was a highly sensitive person, but I didn't realize it was gonna like hit me that hard. And so that's where I turned to a like postpartum therapist, and it was really like talking to her that helped me change my mindset of how I was using medical marijuana. And it was just she like said something that stuck with me, was like, if you're going to use medical marijuana, then you need to treat it like a medicine. And so up until that point, I think I had a more recreational like mindset with it, and was just like kind of treating it like it was my glass of wine, like at the end of the day. And like that was what was more socially acceptable in my brain, was like that was when it could fit into my life. And that was more of a like reactive versus a proactive use of it. And so she had recommended, like, everything she was saying was all things that I like educated myself on previously when I was writing articles or when I was helping friends, and like I just couldn't take it for myself. And she was like, find a like smaller dose, like get a tablets or tinctures, and like take it when you're taking your vitamins, like treat it like a medicine, like it is. And that's when it like all started to shift for me, and just was able to find more joy in my everyday, more like I was able to be more present and get away from being so difficult on myself and like judging myself so much, and just stop crying every day. And well, for the most part, but and then so it was a lot.
Every one of my mom friends all have that one issue, taking it from evening to moving it into the morning. Yeah. Because it would be not great for you to start your day off with a glass of wine. However, it is quite different for you to find a dose that takes you to the spot where you need to, like, I mean, I just feel like for me, even when I'm waking up, I'm kind of starting behind the 8 ball mentally. Yeah. So I need to do my meditation, my stretching, my affirmation, all of those things, plus this, so that I can like start out, instead of trying to use willpower to not be anxious and to not like be sad and to not be all of those things. Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what you're saying, is how it like shifted my mindset of like, okay, this fits in. It's one of these things. Like it is, I have meditation, I have my breakfast, I have my vitamins. It's one of these things that fits to help me take on the day and have like a more sustainable lifestyle than a like reactive, like, let me recover from what just happened. Yeah. 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 Thanks for sharing that, Becky. Of course. Yeah. And thanks for helping us all celebrate on 420 and share all of our good vibes about cannabis, even though we won't be around each other. I know. I feel like this year will be a little bit different. Well, a lot different for various reasons. For me, it's like less of like finding a funny movie to watch and having some good food, and more of just like being thankful for this medicine that like can help me be a better version of myself, or like the version I like of myself. I mean, I'm so grateful it's been listed essential everywhere. Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like if it hadn't been. Ooh. Oh, the Tuesday before all this hit, I just had this feeling, And I was like, I'm just going to go stock up.
Yeah.
And that stock up didn't last because my anxiety was through the roof. Like it just, I don't know if you've seen the meme where it was like, I've purchased my 3 weeks worth of cannabis for the second time this week. That's kind of for Pure Life. They were getting it. Like, it's just like, I can't keep it in. Yeah. I totally forgot where I was going with that. I've had a lot of calls today, and
I would imagine,
a lot of weed today. So I'm like 4 left. I'm like, I'm trying to keep it together. But I do, that it's just going to be different this year, and being thankful that, you know, people are out there working hard.
Yeah.
And especially the dispensary, I like everybody.
Yeah. Just, being able to be open and help other people is amazing.
Yeah. You look amazingly fresh-faced, too. I would just like to say quarantine has been beautiful on you.
Well, this is my first time putting on makeup in 4 weeks, probably longer than that. But I was like, oh, you know, it's a podcast. And even though, you know, people will only be listening, but like.
Oh, no, it's a video, too.
Wait.
I didn't even tell you. See, sorry, my bad.
I was like, you know, it's a good excuse to like get dressed up and actually feel good about myself. So,
yeah. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
And I'll see you around.
Yeah, have a good one, and happy pre-420.
Yes, happy pre-420. See you later, Becky.
Yeah, bye.
The first time you experienced cannabis?
Ironically, I was always that kid. In the neighborhood I grew up in, everybody had it. So like at a very young age, I was exposed to it, probably like 6, 7. Had no clue what it was, and I wasn't actually indulging in it, but just being around it and kind of in that environment. I didn't give in, so I think I was about 16, and I actually gave in with a honey Dutch. At a honey Dutch and some stuff that looked like brickweed, I swear. And
that's an intense first smoke.
Oh, yes. I'm talking about my lungs felt like they were being pulled out of my body. Like one of the harshest smokes I've ever had.
Yeah.
I will not forget to this day. I struggled with a lot of depression, especially seeing like my family go through some trauma, living through divorce and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was what kind of gave me peace during a really difficult social time, especially in like my sophomore, junior year of high school. It saved my life because it got me through the suicide thoughts and like the depression. And it helped me meet a lot of friends that to this day are still in my life.
Do you think that answered kind of question 3 too, which is like, when did you realize cannabis was a medicine for you? Sounds like pretty quickly.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. It took a long time for me to kind of put all the dots together. But I think when I was 25, it really hit that this was medicinal and that it kind of was my way of stopping everybody in my family from talking about it. Because for so long in our culture, it's like, no, how dare you? You're going to grow up to be a gangbanger if you smoke.
True.
You know, you're walking around with a blunt. How dare you? You're a horrible stigma. And when I got evidence and I started learning more about the pharmaceutical ways of how the endocannabinoid system worked and how all different terpenes and cannabinoids broke down, and my mind kind of just blew on itself. It was so much information. I had no clue what to do. I got sick with Hashimoto's disease and found out that that's what was helping me get through the pain and get through my body.
Really?
Once I was able to put those two things kind of into perspective, it fixed everything. It was amazing.
Wow. I mean, when you have that, it's like life-changing once you realize like it's this missing piece. And then wrap it up with like your favorite cannabis consumption experience, like someone you smoked with or just an amazing time.
You know, it's a community sesh. One of the first pop-ups I went up to in DC, I had never had a dab before, and they had a dab bar. I think it was District Dabbers at the time.
Oh, wow.
First ever dab. Oh, my God. There was so much fun to be had. It's kind of like that glorious moment where you think, hey, Cheech and Chong, and it's like, oh, there's no way that actually happens. And then it's like, oh, no, that really did happen. You walked into a room full of smoke, walked out of there feeling amazing. And I will say that the sesh was so epic that I ended up having to kind of leave the area, go a couple blocks away just so I could sit down on the street and just kind of take it all in and meditate and be like,
Yep.
I'm alive. I survived it. To this day, I still have a video of me after that first dab, and it's just kind of like, okay, I'm hanging on to dear life. Everything's great.
I feel like I wish I would have had a video of my first dab. I think everyone's first dab is very similar because you take it like a bong rip, which
Yeah.
it's not the same.
So,
Yeah,
and
my
you're-
lungs
and you're
were not
sitting there
prepared.
I had that same feeling going like, oh, I can smoke blunts back to back, 15 blunts, no problem, we're going. No, one dab was all it takes to kind of be like, no, you slow down there, champ.
It puts us blunt smokers in our spots, dabs. I ain't so hardcore.
I remember my first dab, I'm like gagging. I'm like, hold on, somebody give me a blunt. They're like, dude, you need to chill out and just breathe. No, a blunt's going to help me calm down. This is too much.
I've gone too far. Oh my God, that's hysterical. Maybe I'll do an episode on that, the first time we dabbed. I mean, I've seen videos of people dabbing and they've drooled. Like,
oh, it's insane because the first time, if you're not hydrated enough, it's like your body's just like, produce mucus, do something. It needs to cool yourself down.
Yep. Very, very
or
true.
Like the blushing of the face is my favorite thing because you can tell everyone's kind of reaching that plateau once your face gets really bright and red. And I remember one or two dabs in, and somebody took a picture of my face before and after. I look like a beet red tomato, and I'm just so shiny.
Got the
I'm
THC
loving
sweats.
the podcast, by the way. I'm loving it. All the episodes have been amazing. The one with
Thanks,
Lord
man.
Voldemort, it's one of my favorites. And then the one with the cannon. Like, I love Cannoneer. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
To hear y'all kind of go back and forth was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, she keeps things really in perspective for, like, she's a good person for someone like me who just, thinks of everything that could go wrong. She's very, like, grounding, with all of her experience and knowledge. Yeah, I love her to death. I appreciate you listening.
I love it.
Well, thanks for... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's been a pleasure, kind of like, I remember when I first met you, and it was back at it was the Bay Canniversary, I think.
Yeah.
Or one of the Canna events, and to be in that room and just take that all in at the same time. Like, we were one of the first Maryland patients to kind of have that giant sesh together.
Yeah.
Made the fire alarm go off like 3 or 4 times that night, I think.
That was an intense room to be in.
Oh my God. I don't think it was a dangerous room to try and get through. Mean, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun there.
I think throwing events in Maryland, like, everyone had the steep learning curve, even the venues that we used. No one quite understood how exciting anybody who consumed cannabis would be to do it in a group setting, in a party kind of way. And I just remember the first Cannamines we threw, the dab bros showed up with, like, briefcases. I mean, and people just didn't bring a joint. They were like, I didn't know what to bring, so I brought it all. Like, it was just so exciting and thrilling to be. And I think, any event like that will go in my book as one of my most favorite times, like smoking with people.
I think it's the coolest thing, and just to see everybody also kind of unite.
Yeah.
Kind of just learn about it. It's not only bringing back the idea of the culture of kind of sharing knowledge with one another, but sharing knowledge within your community. And it's beautiful. Even with the homeless, the support you're showing to the homeless, I think is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Being in the hospitality industry, one of the worst things that we ever do is, have to, at the end of the night, if something's not selling, we end up having to get rid of it. And one of the ways that me and other chefs kind of worked out was we find homeless shelters, and instead of throwing away good product, we just make meals and give them to the shelters. So
That's
what
amazing.
you're doing, seriously, I love it. I think it's incredible.
Thank you.
More people need to do it, and especially with what we're going through now, that's the beauty of it, to kind of see everyone join hands together and remember that it's all about community.
Yeah, and for you to cook a stellar meal for them to have is like, I mean, I know this because we have friends who also are chefs, and so whenever things get donated, they're like, do you think you're going to get any more of that shrimp salad like that we had that one time? So, you know, to offer some of your gifts to them in the form of food, which is just, I think, one of the best ways to show love is to cook for somebody. I think you'd agree with that.
Definitely, we need to link up, and I would love to help out at some point.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe
Totally.
we'll do like CBD infused.
Yeah, so that's actually something I've been centering some of my classes around.
Yeah.
I still do a little bit of consulting, and one of the classes that I do is how to work CBD into your daily life in different ways, from eating it, taking a smoothie, to doing a water. It's so easy to infuse anything and everything nowadays that it's just kind of working through the process and helping people understand it.
Okay. Well, this is on. We're going to figure something out. Maybe we'll do like a big MaryJane like community barbecue or something up where we meet all of our friends every Sunday. That we've been wanting to do that. We just need people who know food to help us. So that'd be great.
Well, then count me in, definitely.
Well, thanks so much for being part of the show today. Happy 420.
Happy 420.
All I'm going to say is when this is all over, the party I'm going to throw for us is going to be, I don't even know what it's going to be, but it's going to be amazing.
Yo, let me know, because, you know, Blunt Squad's going to represent all day long.
Blunts up.
Bless up, Jill. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. See you later. When was the first time what happened the first time? Since you're not going to tell me when.
No, I'm going to tell you when. It was my probably first or second day of college, and we were there for orientation. And you know, I don't drink, and I never was really into it because they scared us in high school so badly with these like visiting recovering alcoholics, and I was terrified that my friends were going to get killed driving around with these drunk boys in high school. So I was pretty square in high school.
Me and you.
And so we got to college, and you know, it's orientation, and they're entertaining us, and there's these older boys, and they invited us to come and smoke pot. So there were three of us who were game and three boys. So we go off, and it's this part of the dorm that's for fraternities, and we go into this like unspeakably horrible room, you know, very like boy room, like smelly socks, messy, the whole thing. And we're sort of perched on the available seating, you know, the bottom of the bunk bed and, you know, the milk crate and stuff like that. And this guy pulls out, he's like, oh, well, let me get the pipe. And he pulls out this like contraption. It was actually made of pipes, like for plumbing.
It was a real pipe.
It was a real pipe. It was this kind of U-shaped thing that had been like soldered together. It was quite the work of creativity. And they started, you know, they basically got us incredibly stoned, but it was the first time I'd ever really smoked pot. I had puffed something in high school and it had no effect.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, we're chatting with these kids, and, you know, they're playing music and everything. And one of my friends was into one of these boys. And, you know, the other friend and I mean, when I say friend, I mean, these were girls that I had known for 24 hours. You know, they were like the original people in your dorm that you kind of were hanging around with. So she and I kind of looked at each other and realized that our friends, you know, wanted to hang out with this kid, and that we did not want to be matched up with these kids that we were going to end up with. And we're sort of like, okay, well, we're done smoking pot, so we're going to leave now. You know,
bye.
Really, yeah. So we left, and the two of us, I think this is the kind of the moment where I was just realizing, like, wow, I really love this feeling, because it was, late at night and there was no one out, and we're walking across this idyllic, beautiful place and laughing and, talking. It was all very new and exciting and beautiful. And that was the beginning of my cannabis journey. I always just really liked how it felt. And for most of my young adulthood, it was really just more social, and just a fun way to sit around and talk. I like to sit around and talk to people about ideas, so it suited me well. And it was the beginning of it all, with this crazy contraption pipe. I've never forgotten that thing. And, of course, subsequently have created many vessels from which to smoke in hard times. So,
but do you have a pipe one? Maybe you should recreate it.
I never had a pipe one. Yeah, maybe we should recreate that.
Yeah. Well, now I understand why you like smoking and walking.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
I love that.
That makes like perfect sense.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. I like to be surrounded by natural beauty anyway, and I was lucky enough in that situation that's where we had this feeling of sort of having maybe escaped something that we didn't really want to be doing.
Yeah.
And so there was just this feeling also of liberation. I mean, we had just gotten to college, and we had just had this adventure and it wasn't a menacing situation in any way, but it was one where we kind of realized we wanted to be moving along with our evening.
You didn't want to be with those dudes.
Yeah, we were kind of like, no, we're just gonna take off and stumble across this incredibly beautiful landscape, and just it was really fun.
Aw, thanks for sharing that, Boo. I love that.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, thanks for being part of the 420 show. Tell me, wait, what question were you going to answer? Your first time? Favorite times?
You can heckle me for being in the industry and not liking to get high.
What? I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't like being high at all.
Really?
I don't like it at all. So you can definitely heckle me for that.
But do you use CBD though?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm more of I use more on the CBD for the health and wellness. I do have I'll hit a 1-to-1 vape pen just to knock me out to go to sleep. And then, it's mainly CBD. I eat that shit all day. But it's I have little bitch lungs. I don't like coughing.
So let me ask you this. You do like getting drunk though. I don't like getting drunk.
Yeah.
I wonder, I like being high so much better. I think it's I think it just has to be something. I feel very out of control drunk. In fact, if I drink even one or two drinks, I will vomit. I will oh my God, I'm the worst. 2 beers and I'm done. And sloppy and starting fights. It's not good.
Oh wow, no. It's no, because when I'm high, I get super self-conscious. I'm that kid that sits in the corner overanalyzing, overthinking, don't talk to me because I'm gonna say something stupid, which I usually do.
A 1-to-1 vape's good for you.
Yeah. So that one's good. The 1-to-1 vape is great. Other than that, it's definitely high CBD products. Before meetings, or if I know that there's someone who's going to ask super fucking stupid questions, I'm like, nope, I'm just going to take this more. I'm just going to, you're just going to sit there and you're going to smile and you're not going to let your face show during meetings. But it was more for muscle recovery and sleep versus it's definitely nice during that time of the month, especially PMS. I've tried every fucking product under the sun to fix cramps, but there's nothing works.
Do you do have you tried, so I do not only inhaled and edible at that point, but also like a transdermal.
Yep.
Oh my God, that literally when I realized, why am I not putting that on where my cramps are? It's a game changer.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. So yeah, but it is definitely nice because I'm an impatient person by nature. So it is nice especially even during this time, because usually I just take CBD products at night. Obviously, I'm biased. I work for New Leaf Naturals. So our product's rad, and that's what I usually have at night at the same time with us being quarantined and just being a little bit more stir crazy, where I'll eat it in the morning along just like with all the other supplements and shakes and stuff, where I'll just, all right, nope, here's just another one that we're going to take. And I'm less cranky and less irritable and trying to want to run away from my dogs. Like, stop fucking staring at me. Oh, wait, your dog.
I mean, people don't use, I think, CBD enough. Like, I definitely do a high dose of CBD, and it does help with my anxiety, and it does help just on a daily basis to use it. And I think that's what is great, is you don't have to love being high to get like a benefit of it. In fact, like even a little 1-to-1 has just a little THC that helps absorb the CBD. Even better for you.
Exactly. And it being more on the CBD side, more on the hemp side, and trying to educate. And I'm sad that everyone's like, start low, go slow. And then people don't figure out their baseline. And they it's CBD. Like, not much is going to happen to you, except you might, not give a fuck.
Yeah.
But like, I just wish that more people will be like, no, figure out your baseline. Like, go balls out. Like, maybe take a little too much and see where
it's not going to do anything to you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I wish, because so many people are just like, oh, it didn't work for me. I'm like, you took 2 fucking milligrams, guy. Like, of course. Well,
and I think that's like the biggest disservice is that when you go into a dispensary, everything is really low dose CBD. So even if you're doing a 1-to-1, it's like a milligram and a milligram. You're like, this is not enough. When I saw the magic of CBD was in an edible form, like I was taking this class this new cannabis class, I was auditing it for college, and
awesome,
somebody brought in a CBD ice cream, like that was their business they were starting. So I'd never had 60 milligrams of CBD in a day or ever at one time. The most was maybe like 5, and I was kind of full of anxiety just because I was in school, and that's what happens to me. Even though I wasn't enrolled, they just asked me to come to like audit. I was like panicked the whole time, worried about my grade. Like, I don't even get a grade. But I ate that 60 milligrams. That's when I knew I had found the right amount. Anything less than that that's like what I take every day, 60 milligrams.
Yeah. There's a study coming out of Miami as well as Denver with former professional athletes. 75 milligrams is the sweet spot. So former NFL, former NHL. I think that they had a professional soccer player in there, so constantly like banging your head. 75 milligrams was a sweet spot. And obviously, like there were a couple cases of guys where they're catatonic on 25 milligrams. So whenever I'm dealing, because I'm also with Athletes for Care, that nonprofit. So whenever I'm having a conversation with someone, they're like, I want to get into like at least CBD. I don't like being high. I just want the health and wellness. I just want that medicinal benefit from it. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not a medical doctor. At the same time, 75 milligrams will probably be around your sweet spot.
Yeah. I agree
when
with
most
that.
doses, when most doses, suggested doses are anywhere from 10, are usually around 10 milligrams. For New Leaf, our recommended dose or suggested dose is 25 milligrams. So I just tell them like, all right, guys, you're gonna have to go for it.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, you'll fall asleep. It's not like if you take too much THC and you get that like, oh my God, I may die. Please call 911. Like, it doesn't do that. Like, the most you may fall asleep if that happens.
I took a Wana medical 20 milligram gummy. I think it was last year. I think it was last year, the year before. And I took them, I took it like 10 o'clock. I'm like, 20 milligrams. That's not that much. According to everybody in like Colorado, they're like, oh, it's fine. I'll just chomp down 100 milligrams and they're functioning where I'd be a potato. Honestly, still 14 hours late, like 12, 14 hours later, I'm out of my mind, still going crazy. I hit like a noon gym class and I'm just hitting just wall balls and wall balls and wall balls. And my friends are just like, wow, are you okay? Like, you're crushing this workout. I'm like, y'all, I'm so fucking high right now. Like, I just need it to stop.
You and I have the opposite problem. Yeah. So I found out like I can take an edible, like actually like RSO, and it is in and out of my system in like 20 minutes. Like, there's no, like, people wait forever. And I'm just, I've gone to edible dinners and had dinner, been everything, walked home, smoked a blunt, like smoked another blunt. Everyone's passed out. I'm like, nothing. But, I realized it's all, as the cannabis nurses taught me over and over, it's your liver, right? So yours goes low and slow, and mine just burns it quick when I'm trying to like get it to do what it does to you. That's hysterical. So now I know what we need to do to you the next time we hang up. When you come to Maryland, whenever we're allowed to fly and such.
I know. Yeah. I think I'm going to try to come back to Baltimore in the fall. Hit Albany, go back to Baltimore. Because fall's my favorite. And it's cute in Colorado because everyone's like, oh, the colors, they're great. I'm like, you have one, it is yellow. They don't know. No, they're like, I'm like, does it do anything? Like, what's next? They're like, oh, it's great. It's yellow. I'm like, okay.
No. We got hot pinks and purples and oranges and like all kinds of great colors.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Well, I'm like, home sweet home.
Well, we'll see you when you come out here. Thanks for being on today.
Oh, thanks for this. I'm just digging around. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I don't know what I'm pushing, but answer yes. How do I?
No,
yeah.
It's perfect. Figure out to do something fun to have it. I think I need to close my window because it feels. Oh, you wouldn't know what's happening over here. Oh my God, we have crazy ass storms.
Oh, like, there was tornadoes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we had to, we live on the top floor, and so the wind, was just pounding the windows, and so we went, down to the basement of the building.
Yeah.
To, right out, because it was hail. It was nuts. And then now
we had a lot of hail here. Yeah.
Yeah, just crazy-ass wind. I'm like, can we just pandemic... can't handle weather craziness at the same time. There's just not enough.
We can have one or the other. You can either have your pandemic or I can have the weather. Can't have both.
No. Well, enjoy the rest of today's Monday? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But next Monday's 420.
I know. I thought I signed up for Tuesday. That it was I just knew. I'm like, I want to talk to her. I want to do this thing.
Aww.
I just kept hitting yes. I'm like, and it was on my phone. I'm like, yes.
Well, I'm glad it happened, even though it was supposed to be Tuesday.
Or I have no idea what happened. It's fine. I just hit buttons.
Well, have fun, and I will talk to you next time.
Yes. Bye, hon.
See ya. Well, thanks for being on our 420 show, Dawn. I'm excited for you to be here. So what question are you going to answer? Are you going to share your first time, your favorite time, or when you realized medical cannabis was working for you?
Well, the first time is kind of a one sentence because the first time I didn't feel anything and I thought it was a ripoff.
Okay, well.
The second question was my favorite time.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite time was, no, I won't do my favorite time. No, thinking about it carefully. It was my favorite. I can reproduce that favorite time. But I think when I realized cannabis was working for me was when I first started cannabis, trying the CBD, the high CBD. I thought it was all pariah. I'm like, there is no way this has been around this long and people haven't figured this out. when I found out about cannabis about 8 years ago. So about when CBD became real big, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a try, because I was only, I was going to pain management and I was doing all my drugs.
Yeah.
And like the year before I started the CBD, we'd gone on family vacation and I had lost my narcotics. And we were somewhere where I could not get a refill. They won't give you a refill on narcotics.
No,
state,
not at all.
So I didn't want to go to an urgent care center because I didn't want to look like a drug seeker, So I'm freaking out because I can't find my meds. And I had both my husband, my mother, and a family member all say, do you think maybe you have a problem with this? Like you might be addicted to this because you're freaking out so bad. And I'm like, as a nurse, I'm telling them, no. I'm dependent, but I'm not addicted. But where's my freaking medicine? And I even realized there was an issue. I'm like, I shouldn't get this flipped out, So after that, I decided, okay, even if though it's a joke, whatever. And I didn't know, and it wasn't until I found out that I could take the cannabis with my meds I was already taking.
Yeah.
I didn't have to switch out or stop any.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was talking, we happen to be friends with Janelle Ralph, who makes the Palmetto Harmony that I take. And I decided, okay, I'm going to try this. I trust this person. I trust this brand. I know the person personally, yada, yada. And about 3 days into it, like the first dose, I noticed like, I thought I just imagined it, By the third day, though, I'm doing something. I don't recall what I was doing. I guess washing clothes or doing housework or whatever. And I noticed that like the time went by that I was supposed to take my 4-hour dose. And I was religious. I was religious with my dosing because if, I didn't want to, I had that anticipatory pain response. Like I was afraid the pain was going to start. So
in
3 hours, I'm like, oh God, here we go. Got to make sure I get my med exactly on time. And I noticed that the time went by and it was like almost time for the next dose before I realized I had not taken that dose. And I was like, that's strange. That's really weird.
Yeah.
And then I noticed it more and more frequently where I was just completely skipping out the dose. So I thought, okay, let's try it on the opposite side of this and try stopping a dose in between and only taking a dose before I go to bed and when I wake up and get out that middle of the night dosing. Because I would wake up to have to go to the bathroom and I'd take another dose. And then I started cutting it that way. And then when I realized what was happening, I went to my husband. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. But truly, this is doing something for me and it's helping. And it took about 3 months. But I was able to wean off of everything except at the time, I think it was Xanax. Xanax is the toughest one because I hadn't found the answer to my anxiety.
Yep.
And even now, I just went back to my doctor for a refill of my Klonopin because,
right
I
now
just
it's
need
tough
something for anxiety right now.
Yeah. I think like people don't realize how much time it takes to figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give
up too easy.
Yeah. And you are used to going to a doctor and the doctor says, you do this. And then you go back and you say, here's my result. And then they tweak it. We're never taught that we should listen to our bodies. And in fact, that's like not something, I would like, I've never said this out loud because I love everybody who ever works on my shoulder, but I knew my shoulder was fucked up. Like I knew it. I could feel that something was different. And even though like through every appointment, it was like, no, it's just a little, no, we're going to work through this. I'm like, don't you think I can feel on the inside? Like, don't you think that that's like, but I don't say anything because it's like, I feel like such a moot point with doctors sometimes with it. And so, like we're just not taught to be like, oh, I have this response when I take this much, let me try to do now this. Well,
and so many people are so afraid of cannabis too, especially novices who have, might have had it back in the 60s and haven't had it since.
Yeah.
And, they'll try something and either they immediately don't like it or they immediately say it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to give it a little bit of a chance.
I mean, even antidepressants,
It takes 30 days.
So you're, taking something that's not a chemical that's, been, designed to work as quick as it can, takes some time to do that. Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, I love THC, and THC is the thing. I realize my anxiety has more to do with like depression than I think like, I think it's chicken or egg sometimes. And I think maybe sometimes that's what I get looped up in. But I was like, CBD every day, like find out what your dose is and just like stick with it.
Yeah, it just takes some time to get that dose, to get that right dose in there. And it took me, like I said, it took me about 3 days to zone it in. But that was taking it 3 times a day. And I mean, at first I knew I was taking too much.
Yeah.
Because I actually had a little bit of memory issues. Started to think that I was having some Alzheimer's. I mean, it was weird.
Yeah.
Had a lot of deja vu type of things. And I was taking CBD and they say it doesn't affect your mind. And I'm like, I think it does a little bit if you're taking too much.
Well, yeah. I mean, anything you take can affect that.
Sure.
Well, Dawn, I'm so excited that you're on our 420 show. I'm sad that we're on in person, but just you wait when this is all over and when we can gather in more than 3s.
Yes.
I promise a party to end all parties. Well,
we can still have a party virtually, We really can.
Yeah.
Why not have a community roundtable?
That would be fun. I'm working through that. Like it has been hard to even do the podcast sometimes because I'm so anxious. And so I would love to do something bigger like that. But I feel like I need to be able to perform just a little bit better than I am. But I do love, like, a lot of people have been doing things through Zoom. I don't know if you've caught Backwoods Blair's doing a gratitude session on Fridays. And so that's a Zoom session that everyone can go to. And I think Beth Cutlip's doing something as well. So there's like some exciting things happening.
Send me that
virtually.
stuff. I'd like to join that stuff. It's a lot more fun than just texting on, Facebook.
On Instagram, we now need to get you to follow people and then to go to it to then look to see what's happening.
Okay,
I was proud. The first time you're on the show, we got you on Instagram.
Terrible I am with Instagram.
Yeah, I will
open an account. That's something.
That is good. Yeah, I'll send you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you Blair's profile.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll do an introduction or something. So she'll send you the Zoom link.
Okay.
So that you can go to it. It's a lot of fun to do. And I think such a good thing to meet like different people. And yeah, so stay tuned. I'll do something.
Okay.
Yeah. But thanks for being on.
You really are. Considering everything going on, you're doing just fine. Hang in there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to hear that because some days,
no matter
I'm
what,
sure.
we have a tremendous tribe.
Yeah, we do.
We have a tremendous amount of wonderful people out there. We are going to be all right.
Oh, the moments of like on social media, people helping one another and seeing like what people are doing, I think is like phenomenal. So it's good to be part of it. And I'm glad this was the best thing I could have done was get together 20 or so people and ask them to tell me their favorite stories of cannabis. Thank you.
I think it's a great idea. Thank you for including me.
Of course. Okay, let's catch up soon.
My first time with cannabis, I guess the first memorable time, because the first couple of times, I guess I didn't inhale right.
Yeah, nobody does.
So I don't think I got actually high until the one time I was hanging out with my ex or the boyfriend I had at the time and his friends. So we were chilling and smoking, and it was like late at night. So we decided, me and my boyfriend left, and I was like, yo, we should go to Wawa's. So we get to Wawa's. Both of us are highly medicated and walk in there, and all the food was just sparkling, and I had to have it as much as possible. So of course, Wawa got the hot menu on point, and I think usually I would get the quesadilla, but I just went nuts, and because I think that's when they first added the burritos in the burrito bowl, which weren't good, by the way.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so I put in my order, and I was like, "Ooh, let me get the burrito bowl," and "Ooh, y'all got ice cream? Let me get like one of them shakes or whatever." And then they, of course, like 7-Eleven and whatnot, they have the frozen section and stuff. So I was like, "Well, I don't have to stop at just a milkshake. Let me get some ice cream too." And I was like, "Ooh, they got these little pastries." I think I bought like it's like I don't remember the name of the brand, but it's like this cream, and it was like cream cheese and strawberry Danish. I grabbed one of those. I used to be a Flaming Hot Cheetos junkie. I grabbed that too. Most of this stuff ended up in the trash a couple hours later because I didn't eat all this food. but
you wanted it all.
I was just so excited for the prospect of putting all this food in my face.
Yeah.
And my ex, he was so far gone. He was only supposed to buy one burrito. He bought 3 burritos, but he didn't know that he bought 3 burritos. He didn't realize he bought 3 burritos until we got back to his place. And we went back to his place with all this food. And I don't even remember what it was that he said or did. It wasn't even that funny, I think, because he's a very nervous person. So he just, I don't know. He was just really nervous or upset, and I just started dying laughing at the fact that he bought these 3 burritos. He didn't realize he bought all these burritos. And of course, because of the cannabis, I like become a laughing factory.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could have exploded, or I was just gonna melt from laughing so hard. But I was just crying from laughing at these burritos. And that was my first time.
I mean, I feel like the first time when it finally hits you, because like you, it took me like a few times, but the first time you get the true munchies, and man, everything tastes amazing. And I don't know about you, but there were some restaurants that we had only ever eaten at after we had consumed cannabis. Mm-hmm. And we've rolled up on that restaurant having not consumed cannabis, and we're like, this doesn't taste as good as we like remember. Food is so much more amazing after cannabis.
Opposite effect. So, or I guess cannabis has like revealed the truth of things for me, and it's revealed the truth of the things that I thought tasted good don't actually taste that good. So I don't do Popeyes anymore because I don't think Popeyes, like
I'm actually with you on that.
Like 2 years in a relationship, I guess, it was like a couple months before we broke up or whatever. We consumed cannabis, and I was like, yeah, we should get Popeyes. And he's like, yeah, let's get Popeyes. So we go, and I'm all hyped because I'm like, yeah, I'm high. This is going to be extra delicious. And I'm eating this chicken. I'm just like, yo, this shit is garbage.
Ew. Don't say that out loud. Some people may come after you.
So the only time I've been back to Popeyes is for the chicken sandwich, because the chicken sandwich is good, probably because of the sauce and like the pickles and bread combination. But I no longer go to Popeyes because I know the true flavor of the food.
Cannabis has revealed the truth to you. Popeyes sucks. I love it. I couldn't ask for a better story. Like this was great.
Yeah.
You hit it all. 7-Eleven, Popeyes. This is perfect. I appreciate you coming together with us all and sharing a 420 moment so we can all kind of be in spirit together come Monday.
Yeah. Wish I could talk with some folk, but that's how it is.
We'll be there. You just wait the party that's going to be thrown after this. You're going to have to bring ounces, not eighths, ounces.
The first time that I realized it was really helping me, I think, was when I got clean.
Yeah.
Before I got clean, I wasn't really using it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to get out of my head. I mean, a lot of us smoke to get out of our head, but I was trying to escape a lot of traumas and things, and I just wasn't doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But once I got clean and I realized that I don't want to hide from the things that hurt me and I want to face them head on, that I could actually use this to my benefit.
Yeah. That is key, I think, in life, to not hide, but to take head on.
I agree.
How long ago did you get clean?
I got clean January 5th of 2019, so it's been a year and 3 months, I guess.
Yeah. Congrats, man.
Thank you. I mean,
that is awesome.
You knew me before all of this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, you look different too. You can tell, like, everything seems so much more alive for you. And I love seeing your fitness post and walking and running. Like, that's amazing.
I'm trying. I just want to be happy with myself, and that's something that I've never really gotten to do.
Yeah. It's a long journey. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I've always relied on other people for my happiness, and that's something that I don't want to do anymore. I mean, that's a benefit to have those people to add on to your happiness, but I want to be comfortable with my own happiness as well.
Yep, that is key. Give me a big blowout for the end. I'll use this as like the final clip. Yeah, so tell me about the first time you used cannabis.
Okay, the first time I used cannabis, I was probably about, I think 13. I think I was about
That
13.
seems to be the age of everyone. 13.
Really?
Everyone's parents had no idea what they were doing when they were 13. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay,
well,
so 13.
My mom quickly learned, as you'll find out. But so I was 13. I had a couple girlfriends staying over who I'm still friends with to this day. And we had invited a couple boys over that were a little bit older than us. So we went out on my back porch and they were like, do you want to smoke? And I was like, well, I don't really smoke cigarettes or anything like that. And they were like, no, we've got pot. You want to smoke pot? And I was like, I mean, okay, like I'm home. I mean, with my friends, I guess I'll try it. So we smoked. I don't even really remember that part of it. Mm-hmm. My favorite part is the next day, my mom finding a roach in the living room, which I guess for some reason we brought it inside instead of flicking it anywhere.
Kids.
We brought it inside with us. And she was like, she called me. I was at one of the girls' houses. And she called me and she was like, hey, I actually found this roach in the living room. And I was wondering if you knew anything about that. And I was like, that is disgusting. I was like, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to call an exterminator? Like, what are what are you going to do? And she was like, what do you mean? She was like, do you not know what that is? I was like, well, it's the bug. Yeah. Like it's the roach. And she was like, no, she was like, it's the end of a joint. And I was like, oh, she's like, yeah, I need you to come home. I was like, yeah.
Man, you being clueless didn't get you off the hook. I'd have been like, oh, she doesn't know. That's hysterical. And I would do something like that today, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I should have just played it off. Like I continue to not know, but no, I was like, all right, you got me.
What did she do to you?
I didn't really get in trouble. I didn't really get in much trouble. That's how you get in the real trouble.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I had friends like you.
You had friends like
I just, every time I hear a young story, I'm like, man, I wish I was in such a goody two-shoes as like at 13. If nobody would even offer me drugs because they're like, this bitch is a narc. Like,
right.
Nobody ever. Like, if anybody's doing anything like borderline bad, they're like, don't tell Jill. She's going to lecture us. We're not going to have any fun if she's around. So don't bring her along.
That's my little sister. My middle sister is the one who's, yeah. She's the tattletale.
So what was your favorite time?
Oh my gosh.
And I have a million, so it doesn't, you don't have to say like, I'm not going to hold this to you.
Right. I think any of my favorite times have really just been with friends, like really just whenever you're laughing your ass off and it's just pure unadulterated joy. It's just straight up having a good time. Those have really just been my favorite times.
Yeah.
Not any kind of like crazy story.
It's when the laugh moves from like here down to your belly. Like, it's just your whole body is conversing. That typically, those are probably some of my favorite moments. Like it's joy that you're feeling and like a massive connection while everyone's like experiencing the same thing.
Right. Yeah. And
I think that's what I miss.
As one with the other people. You're just, it's unmatched.
Yeah, I can't wait to see people in person.
I can't wait to see other people in person. I'm really excited about that.
Tell me about your first time that you consumed cannabis.
Yeah, so I was 14 and I was in high school and was in marching band. And if there's anything in the world about band kids, it's that we tend to party pretty hard because we're already the bottom of the social ladder. So you can only go up. And so it was me and two guys that I played drums with, and he had gotten, what back then was a big deal. He had gotten a little bit of cannabis and we should try it. And the main thing I remember is in that moment, within those first like 15 minutes, having that like cheesy smile the whole time and laughing and like getting real giggly and having a great time. And then it was just like we were all three on the exact same page. Like everything was funny. No one felt weird. There was no anxiety, all those things. And I started to have that moment of like, oh no, this is wrong. Like I'm doing the wrong thing. And it actually disappeared. It 100% went away. I remember almost 20 years ago was the first time I tried it. And thinking then nothing was wrong with it. Like I'm not hurting anybody. I'm laughing with my friends. We're home. We're at my friend's house. So we're in a safe place. Like none of us are going to throw up or get sick. Like you can't overdose. So yeah, I kind of remember that moment for me being that threshold of, oh, this isn't as bad as everyone says it is. Like I'm having a ball.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then
so 20 years. That's amazing.
And I haven't taken many days off.
I have found that most people who did discover it early on don't, because there's some magic to it. So I'm just going to ask you the question in reverse order. Yeah. When did you realize what you were doing was medicinal at the same time?
It was my senior year of college. And I can say without question, my senior year of college was the hardest year of my entire life. Like it's not a debate. That's just how it was. And so I had smoked cigarettes for a number of years prior to that. And I decided to quit. I was starting to feel a little winded, and I said I should quit smoking cigarettes. And about 4 months after that, my withdrawal symptoms got so bad that I was having not like a panic attack that you can contain, but like those panic attacks where you have to leave and like go. I was not for nothing, but I was at a fraternity event in Pennsylvania at a hotel, and I took a shower in a stranger's room with my clothes on because I had such like, it was just overwhelming. I couldn't get away from it. And I started to realize that it was more of a micro dosage for me with cannabis at the time, where it was like, wake up, a little bit in the morning and then midday after lunch, just a little bit. I wasn't even smoking a full bowl every time. It was just, kind of like we tell patients to do, figure out what works and keeps it. And it was about a month after my anxiety started to subside, where I was trying to figure out what that puzzle piece was that was doing it. And I realized the only constant that whole time was cannabis and the dosage that I chose. So while I didn't 100% know it was a medicinal thing, I knew that what it was doing was the equivalent of a medicinal effect for me. Yeah. And that was when I kind of turned the corner from, oh, this isn't so bad because it's fun, to, oh, this definitely isn't so bad because think about where I'd be if I didn't do this.
Right?
Yeah.
I had an old coworker, and so I knew that he consumed, but he didn't know I did because I was the manager.
Right.
And when I left, because I'm a very high-strung individual, when I was leaving, he said, I have a tip for you. You should try to smoke weed. And I was like, oh, I do. And he was like, what? He's like, you need to smoke more of that.
Yeah. It's funny too. It sounds bad to say, but like when you see people in the community complaining or like getting real bent out of shape, my first thought is always like, man, you should smoke some weed and calm down.
Yeah. Like, are you smoking sativas when you need like a hybrid? Like you need to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe look at like the terpene profile and see what's helping you out some.
That is very true.
I give you, actually, full disclosure, I give you credit for drawing my attention to pinene tied to my anxiety.
Oh, nice.
Yep. You had brought it up. We had talked about it randomly, and you were saying it's like 0.6 or something, but you were like, anything above that, like I feel anxious. And I started to wonder and went back. Whenever I buy a product, I take a picture of the nutrition facts. And I was looking at the ones that made me like that, and your threshold was a little higher than mine, but I was like 0.5, 0.4.
Wow.
And it was like, damn, I never thought about that. Like, thank God you said something. I would have.
I think it's like because it's a bronchodilator, right? And anxiety is a breath issue.
Oh yeah.
And so as you like take more in, I think it increases my breathing, and so my body thinks it's having some anxious reaction.
Right. Did you see my Instagram story the other day where I said the best thing that's happened during this quarantine is how aware of my breath I am? Yes. And the worst thing that's happened is how aware of my breath I am.
Yeah, every time I'm like, wait, can I still take a deep breath? I'm
taking like full massive breaths and thinking, why can't I breathe more? Why can't I take in more? Like, I'm not a big guy.
I've just full on forgot to breathe. Like I'll be sitting there and feeling anxious, like, no, breathe.
Right.
Breathe.
Yeah, you're fine. You could do it. The fact that you can breathe is a great thing. Like, just enjoy that.
Yeah. It's too much about what the virus is that stresses us out about.
Yep.
Really. Still good. So what was your favorite time consuming?
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, you're talking about a lot of times.
Well, I know nobody has one favorite, so I won't hold you to this is the best ever, but right now.
So I definitely, some of my highlights, so I went to school to play music. So some of the highlights were like 8 to 10, maybe even a dozen musicians kind of sharing a joint beforehand. Some who smoked common, some who didn't. Some maybe it was even their first try. But spending like an hour and a half, 2 hours in a practice room with 10 very talented musicians, like kind of vibing off each other and letting it go where it goes. And those, I mean, I got to do that twice a week, 3 times a week for 4 years. I mean, it was an absolute dream. It was a revelation for me to be like, man, we're all together because the only commonality is that we love music and we all participate in cannabis smoking. Like, that's it. We don't play the same instrument, so we're all thinking different ways and melodies. But then another great amount of times was my first apartment. We had a lot of people try for their first time at my apartment. And
nice.
That was always fun for me too, to just kind of watch someone else jump that stigma and be like, all right, I'll try it, and watch their nerves just melt away and them laugh and giggle and, someone eat 3/4 of a pizza and not even realize it and be very welcoming. I think as of more recently, I had a ball at your fire and ice party. I had a really good time there. I saw people that I hadn't seen in years that I didn't realize we were connected that way. And I guess most recently, the most fun, I was in Oakland last November and was out there kind of seeing the social scene and the rec scene and all. And my buddy and I we got a joint and we rode bird scooters for like 2.5 hours through the streets of Oakland. And I just remember like, and I know you get it because you have those moments where you check back in with yourself and it's like, I'm riding a scooter in Oakland, California with a joint in my mouth. Like I'm just having so much fun. So yeah, I mean, there's infinite times. The shorter list would be times I smoked and didn't enjoy myself beyond belief.
Correct. Actually, that is true. Anytime it led to a panic attack or anything like that.
Yeah. Or, you know, I did it and then someone was in a bad mood and it brought my mood down. Like,
true.
Other than that, I do it fully for release and anti-anxiety and pain relief and just daily BS.
Yep. And we need it more than ever.
Jeez, you're telling me. What about you? What's your favorite?
Man, a ton of them, but I think there was this moment and it was one of our Cannabis.
Yeah.
And I was there with a bunch of girls who smoked blunts. And so until then, somebody had made a comment to me about smoking blunts, and as much as I did, like an older guy. And I just was like, man, am I the weird one in this crowd too? And then I just met like Olga and Indica Wife and, you know, all of these girls that smoked blunts. And I was like, my people.
Yeah.
And I just remember we all took a picture together and we had these blunts in our hands. And I just felt like this is amazing. Like it was such a great time. And then, I mean, last year, really smoking at the National Cannabis Festival with my brother.
I can only imagine.
That still will probably be a highlight of my life. Like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah. You just like lit a blunt with a blunt and you're just walking around and everybody it wasn't like that kind of festival would have been highly anxiety inducing for me.
Right.
It's nothing. People bump into you, they're like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like there's nothing like anxious.
My dad and I, so my dad doesn't smoke, but my dad and I are big music guys. And we went and saw a concert down at Wolf Trap. And we were outside. It was Derek Trucks. We went and saw him. So, I mean, you know the group that's there with Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tie-dye, ponytails, like crunchy people. And my dad and I are on the lawn, and we're just talking, having a great time. And having a beer or two, and a guy in front of us turns around and is like, hey, you guys want to keep it down? And my dad and I are like, yep, sorry. So we like took a couple steps back and kept talking. And that same guy turned around and was like, I can still hear you. You want to keep it down? And watching the community of people around him be like, dude, this is an outdoor concert. Like, just enjoy that you're here. And like, it was just very cool to see. Like you said, something like that would normally make me a little bit defensive or a little like tense and like, who do you think you are? But like everyone around us was like, dude, lighten up, like enjoy it or leave. Like you don't have to be here. Yeah. And then, you know, you go and grab another beer, you go to get a hot dog and someone comes up to you and is like, hey man, I saw that. That was not cool. Like that guy was a real, and you just, for me, and I've told you this, when we met up most recently at that Canna Gather, when I was telling you there, the thing that I love the most about all this is the damn community.
Yeah.
Everybody is, well, I can't say everybody because, you know, if assholes were airports, there'd be a lot more flying.
Yeah.
But they're all very cool about it because we all agree, like, this is who I am and this is part of who I am. And I don't feel the need to hide that from you.
Yeah.
So it's comforting. It's very nice to be around.
Yeah, I think that's what I miss is like the being with people. Obviously, that's what everyone misses. Yeah. So I have said to everyone, I was like, oh, just you wait, the party that will be thrown whenever there can be several hundred people together. And if not, I'll do it in groups of 10 and we'll just
I'm with
come in the first hour, you come in the second hour.
Yeah, I'm that with my friends now where they're like, hey man, you want to like do a hike 6 feet apart for like a couple hours and just like yell at each other? I was like, yes, I will scream from 10 feet away just to have a conversation with people. I miss them so bad.
Yeah, just to see some faces in person.
Yeah, literally.
Well, I appreciate you being on today. Of course. This is great. And then we'll get you on for a full episode too. These are just little
absolutely.
sound bites. But good luck.
Thank you.
Let me know if you need anything.
Of course.
Yeah, but we're thinking about you in this crazy world and the goodness that's about to happen. Your daughters will be very special being born in this time.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun when they get to like early teenage years to explain to them like, hey, look, this is what your mom and I did while you were being born. Like, this is what happened real life.
Yeah, and my dad sells weed, so there you go.
Right, yeah. And the reason you're not worrying about paying for college has a lot to do with weed.
Well, enjoy your rest of the day. Tell everyone that I said hi.
Absolutely. And you stay safe. And if you need anything or anything I can do for you, you tell me.
I will. Thanks so much,
awesome.
Dave.
Thank you.
See ya. What was your first time, best time, or when you realized it was medicine?
I thought a lot about the best time one. And what I think about when I consume cannabis is it is like 50 first dates. They're all different and they're all special.
Yeah.
So it would be like if somebody asked you what was the best kiss that you had with your wife, well, all the kisses are special and they're all different in their own little special ways. So like today, the best thing that I'm doing while I'm consuming cannabis is talking to you. And then yesterday I was doing something else, but they all have a little special place in my heart.
Everyone said that. No one can say like, this is my number one. I think we all feel the same. And in whatever moment I'm feeling is whatever that may be, like a memorable time. So I think we all connect on that.
I think when I smoked with my grandmother, like that was a super beautiful thing.
Yeah. What was that like?
That was funny. So my grandmother has the beginning stages of dementia. And so you have to smile and laugh to keep from crying. It's super sad. But I have asked her on more than one occasion, and on more than one occasion, she has obliged to consuming cannabis, whether it be smoking or eating a gummy or whatever it has been. And she has so much anxiety when she doesn't medicate to be able to see that lift and for her to smile and really not be worrying and just worrying about everything. Like, I don't even know what she worries about. She asked me or my mom about neighbors that lived next door to her 15 years ago. Like, what? I have no idea what they're doing right now, but she just worries about everything. And so when she medicates, she's like nice and smiley and laughing. And I'm like, I remind her what she did. She's like, I did not. She still has like this morality issue with it, but I definitely have a great time when I consume with my grandma.
I feel like that will be a memory you will always be a favorite memory, like of all things, because that is for you to be able to give her a gift. Like, I have anxiety, so any human being that's taught me how to make it dissipate or whatever is a hero in my eyes. And man, for you to give that like release to your grandmother, that is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
she
huge.
Definitely, I can definitely see like when you're petting your dog and they get like you get the big sigh. Like, I can definitely see that with her when things start kicking in, she's smiling and laughing. And I told my mom the first time I did it, and she thought that I was messing with her. I have a great relationship with my parents, and I told them, I was like, yeah, it got me all high, got me all stoned. And they were like, Elizabeth, stop it.
No, she did.
I did. And then my mom saw how much it helped her. And so now I don't get yelled at for that anymore.
That is awesome. Does she like a particular like combination? Is it kind of like a hybrid for her? Like what?
She'll only take 1 or 2 puffs of anything. But what I really see helping her out a lot are those 5 milligram gummies.
That's why I have my dad on.
Yeah. And it's just low low THC, just enough to turn the volume down for her, have her
Yep.
smile a little bit.
It's like a little boop boop. There's nothing like, yeah. And when we got him his card, when Roman came down, and then we went to the dispensaries, and he kept telling, like, whatever she wants, put it on my tab. I'm like, that's not how this works, Dad. And I really thought this was kind of one and done. Like, he did it to appease me.
Right.
And so, we got him some little of the 2.5 1-to-1s and some 5, 1-to-1s. And when he called me and told me he needed more gummies, it like melted my heart. I was like, oh my God, it worked. It wasn't because I wanted it to work. It's like he's starting to see benefit from that. And that's like such a great moment to pass that on to somebody.
Yeah. I get to experience that almost every day. So when I sit in on a lot of patients, I used to more so than I do now. But then when the patients, like when I opened my business, I knew that I was doing good things, but it wasn't until like a year later when the same patients started coming back for the renewals that I was hearing all the stories every day about just the little subtle changes that turned into big, big changes, like people starting businesses and relationships getting better and all kinds of craziness. I get to have that aha moment every time that I hear one of those stories.
Yeah. I mean, that's beautiful. That's what this is all about, right? Like helping others find, and people can argue all they want. Everything, even from your first puff, has some medicinal effect on you. Like it is helping you in some way, shape, or form. So for you to get to do that, I mean, you've done a great service to the community in Maryland with your pricing and, just making sure people have access to it. So I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I definitely want to make sure everybody that could benefit from cannabis has the opportunity to try it. And there's a lot of people that it's not for them, and I appreciate and I understand that. So like I wasn't a consumer of cannabis until I was over 30 years old.
Yeah, me
Maybe
too.
I could count on my hands how many times I consumed cannabis prior to that. And it wasn't my thing until like I needed it.
Yeah.
And then I definitely had a great experience with not having to do chemo and radiation after having cancer. But also like on the flip side of that, I was on 14 different medications, and some of them like some antidepressants and mood stabilizers and things like that I went on after I found out that I had cancer, because it was a lot to deal with. And then, they give you Xanax, and then they give you pain pills, like anything that they could give you that you could be addicted to, they prescribed to me. And because it comes from a doctor, I just didn't question it,
Yep.
And then, the cancer's gone, the surgeries have stopped. And I'm like, well, how long do you stay on these medications for? And I was still using the cannabis, and I was able to, stop taking every single one of those pills. Like I don't use any pills at all. And that's a super beautiful thing. And I know like I have a lot of patients.
I lost you.
Oh,
there you are. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, I have a lot of patients that that I know that will never be able to omit some prescriptions. Like they just genuinely need them. But for me, not being reliant on any pharmaceuticals aside from a B12 shot, I feel super lucky.
Yeah. That is a great place to be. Well, Linda, I'm so excited to have you on today. I've missed your beautiful face.
And I have missed you.
So I wasn't going to let 420 go away. So I thought one of the things I could do is bring all the magic from the Maryland cannabis community together to share some of their favorite 420 stories and cannabis moments. And I know that you have the moment you knew medical cannabis was working for you. Can you share that for us?
I can. And it was all by accident, I guess. I had been at an event, a cannabis event, and I had saved an RSO syringe for when I'm ready. Mm-hmm. And I had been at this event and had not consumed any that day. And I felt myself going into a lupus outbreak. And I thought to myself, oh, this is not happening. And that night, without anyone knowing, I whipped up my little magic suppositories, not knowing what I was doing. I just it was a whim. And I thought to myself, if this was a baby, you would give this baby a suppository of medicine. So let's try it. So I made them. I used it that night, didn't tell anyone, because I thought, well, if I die, I mean, no one needs to know what happened. Yeah, no one needs to know.
The first and only OD from THC, Linda.
Well, that was it. That was it. And I thought to myself, and if it does what I think it could do, then I'll share it. And if I shared it ahead of time, I didn't want anyone discounting what I was doing. So that night I used them, and then the next morning I woke up and I was like, I'm either in heaven or I'm not in pain. And here I am sitting at my little barn house by myself, like looking around going, maybe it is heaven. Maybe so. And I drank coffee. It was the best fucking coffee I have ever had in my life. And I thought, oh yeah, this is heaven. Oh yeah. I'm like, these suppositories, this is heaven. And then from that moment on, every day, it was almost like I was looking forward to using them, knowing that I was going to feel that much better. And it's been that way now for a couple years. And that was amazing. When it was like everything in my life changed that moment. And each day the change got a little bit better, a little more well-rounded. And I started understanding my body more. And that was when I knew this stuff is serious medicine, because my entire life, all I was ever given were prednisone or these things that would mask it for a few days, but never fix it. This fixed it. And that I haven't been to the doctor since. So I probably should, but just to say, but all that rheumatology stuff, all the stuff, I just never went back.
To wake up not in pain, like, what a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I will say it's been, I don't know how many years now, I do have breakthrough pain, and there are days that I wake up, but in those beginning days, I think it was such a shock to my system that it was all gone. But now I know how to manage it. When it comes back in, I know to up it, or to, cut out some of this other junk food that I now eat again because I can. And once I start managing, everything goes back to normal. But it was
your
because
whole
of cannabis.
World kind of changed too. So not just pain, eating got better.
Right.
Wow.
I'd like to say I got taller, but I didn't.
You're very height. You can't be any taller. You would be kicked out.
Right. But it allowed me to be so much more of the community where I wasn't in the beginning. I was just kind of, doing my art, doing my little thing. But now it's so important to let people know how much it is so medicine. I mean, and for me, it changed. You're right. It changed everything.
I think even your art's kind of reflected that, like maybe a before and after.
Right. It's totally different now. It's totally different. Yeah. And I like it. It's okay.
Yeah. Linda, I'm so grateful that you did that one day. Like, you did something that was so scary, and man, it paid off for you.
Thank you. It did. And it was a little bit premeditated, because I remember I bought it, the RSO, and I put it aside, and I thought, well, and I bought it like in the late spring, and I was like, I'll do it deep in the summer when I know that I don't have any commitments.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, nope, we're doing it now. And it worked.
That's awesome.
So thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Of course. Thanks for sharing. Happy 420.
Yes. Happy 420 to you. And
yes. We'll figure out something. Maybe all at 420 we go out and stand outside, and one time a collective puff comes out.
And everybody. Right.
That would be perfect. Well, thanks again for being on the show. I would love for you to share with us the first time or the first memorable time that you consumed cannabis. So where were you? What were you? What was it? How did you do it? Like, what were your thoughts after it?
Well, the very first time, I should have rolled a second blunt for this. The very first time, I was 13. And just to give a little background, I was 13. I was playing basketball, captain of the JV team on River Hill. And I had this big sister, Shayla, who was a senior at River Hill. And she really helped me grow before I even got to high school with just basic basketball fundamentals. So Shayla brought me to Brittany's house. Brittany played basketball at Wild Lake. I'm just outing everybody today. That's fine. So
you're sharing everyone's experience.
Went to Brittany's house in Wild Lake, and they rolled up a blunt. I wish I remembered what it was. I don't think it was a backwood because I don't think back then anybody knew how to roll a backwood.
Still don't.
But it was a blunt. I remember that. We went to some little, playground behind Brittany's house, and we just, had a little trio of this little blunt sesh. And I was always told when I was younger that either you would get high as shit or not feel anything at all the first time you smoked. And I wasn't like rocked, but I definitely felt enough or felt different enough to want to try it again. Because remember, like, I'm 13, I'm going to, get a little heavy for a moment. Like, I had just had my brother pass in a traumatic car crash a year and a half ago, going through depression, anxiety, eating disorder, all the 13-year-old teenage angst that you could ever think of. And this was the first, like, sense of release of any type of emotion that I had felt in a really long time. So that was like my first introduction to it. I think a more memorable experience was like 3 or 4 times, like a handful of times later, but still with Brittany and Shay, like the first, 5 times that I smoked. And we were at Brittany's house again. Parents aren't home. Now they're like 17, 18, 19 years old. Cause I'm thinking like, I'm grown. Like the shit that I've been through.
I'm grown.
Like I've been through more shit at 13 years old than a 50-year-old. Like I'm grown. Fuck y'all. I'm not hanging out with 13-year-olds. Y'all are weird. I'm not with it. So I'm hanging out with people that are either about to graduate high school or already in college.
Yeah.
We're at Brittany's house. I have to finesse my way to get to her house. Because again, I'm 13. I can't drive to her house. I have to convince my parents to let me hang out with these 18.
Wait, hold on. Let me just... You were still 13
Yeah, I'm still... This is the handful of time...
This wasn't fast forward a few years. You're 18.
The first
These... I know why I like you.
I'm still 13.
You're an old soul. Yeah, I gotcha. I just wanted to get that. I'm like, oh no, this... Okay.
Yeah. So I had to convince my parents to drive me over there. I get there, we're hanging out. There's like 4 other people there, and I distinctly remember Brittany breaking down weed on her mom's fine china plate. I distinctly remember that. Her mom wasn't home. It's just, all these adults and a little 13-year-old from River Hill. So I'm in the backyard, we're smoking blunts again. I think that's why I smoke so many blunts now, because I've always been introduced, as with a blunt.
Yep.
And we're smoking in the backyard, and it's 6 o'clock on the dot, and I hear the doorbell ring. And I'm like, well, I know I'm the last person here because I had to convince my parents to take me. Like, everyone else was already here. Like, did they order pizza? Like, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm ready for that. A few moments later, Brittany comes out, and she's like, hey, Blair, can you come to the door real quick? I'm like, well, I didn't order pizza. I don't have any money for this. Why is she asking me to come to the door? Like, this is her house. I go up the back steps, go into the kitchen, and through the front door, I see my parents standing there.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm high as a bitch.
Oh my God, Patty and Raj.
I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this, like, you have met my parents before. Like, they've been to events. My dad, grilled us all, barbecue or July 4th. Like, my parents are cool as shit, but I was 13. I told them her mom would be there. And it's just 4, 5, 18, 19-year-olds and me. I'm high as a bitch. I'm like, how are we gonna do this? So something just sparked in me. I don't know if it was the weed. I don't know if it was just the fire I constantly have inside myself, but I kind of went off, and it worked. And I was like, why are you guys here right now? Dad, why are you embarrassing me in front of my friends? Like, we're just watching The Princess Bride. I've never watched The fucking Princess Bride before. Like, I'm pretty sure we were reading that in my English class in 9th grade. I don't know what the fuck that came from. Dad, we're just watching The Princess Bride. Why would you come here? I told you to pick me up at 9 o'clock. Why are you here at 6? Oh, you want to speak to her mom? Well, her mom's in the shower, so I don't really know how that's going to work. Why are you here right now? And they left. And so I went back outside, smoked some more, and I got picked up at 9 o'clock. And it was never spoke of again.
I would love for you to ask them about that incident.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. The day they're like, we're just going to walk away from this.
I think,
and ask them if they knew you were high.
I mean, I don't know if like their love for me just blinds them, or if they choose to be oblivious to certain things. True. But like, I should not have gotten away with some of the shit I got away with as a kid.
Yes, I've heard the stories, and I would agree with that.
That was the first handful of times that I smoked weed.
That is amazing. My story is not even close to that. But can I share with you one of my favorite times?
Yeah.
And it just happened very recently. So I have like a lot of favorite times. But one of my most favorite times with you was with the first cookies drop and how fun it was. Like, we were up so early. What'd you say?
I said that whole experience,
yes.
Not even like the act of smoking, just the entire experience.
Yeah, like just being, like, we had so many blunts rolled. We walked all the way to the dispenser, like we waited. Like, it was such a fun time. And then meeting everyone like around us. And I just will remember that day. It was January, but it was beautiful.
January. Beautiful weather. We got up at 2 a.m. We
got all cute, rolled millions. A blunt an hour is what we figured we would need.
I had an internal war with myself between only wearing a sweatshirt and wearing a shirt under a sweatshirt because it wasn't comfortable. But I knew I needed to take off the sweatshirt at some point. But a sweatshirt is a shirt. You can't wear a shirt under a shirt.
I remember this great debate.
That was very... that 30-minute discussion with myself was complicated, but the rest of the time was amazing.
I feel like we did talk about it while we were walking because I was
like right now, like sports bra under the sweatshirt. You don't wear a shirt under the shirt. A sweatshirt is a shirt.
I'm going to do an Instagram poll on this because that's insanity, Blair.
It's not
straight insanity.
To wear a shirt under a sweatshirt, it's not comfortable.
I don't even think guys wear a sweatshirt without a shirt.
It's not. Well, guys are weird. I don't know what to tell you. You're lesbian. You know this.
I mean, so fucking weird. I don't know about that at all. Yeah, that was such a good day. Got to ride on with a chalk on a minivan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and someone we met in line came to one of your brunches. Yep.
It was good.
And then what strains did you, so I got Cheetah Piss and Gary Payton, and you got?
I got the soap and Georgia Pie.
Right.
And the cure on them was beautiful.
It was. It was beautiful.
It was.
Just like you, my friend.
Stop it.
So share with me one of your favorite cannabis stories for 420. So whether it's like the first time you smoked, most people haven't shared the first time. Mm-hmm. They've shared the first time and went, yeah, I felt it, but now I want to tell you about this time. So maybe it was a favorite time or, how medical cannabis has helped you.
Yeah, so one of my favorite times would have to be definitely my first time. So this was like after, yes, I was, I didn't start smoking in high school. It was like after beauty school. So me and my friend from college, we was on my back porch and she was like, I got this stuff and I think you'll really like it. So I was really open to like natural stuff. So I'm like, all right, okay, let's try it. So I'm, smoking. Next thing you know, my whole world just turned into a lava land. Like I was moving in slow motion. I was moving in slow motion. I was just so relaxed. I can just open up and just be myself. And we just had like so many deep conversations in a matter of like 6 hours. We just sat out there and just chill. And it was my first time I can really decompress and just enjoy the environment and just enjoy. But I just love how cannabis is able to bring out the best in people when you're trying something new. Because I was scared. I was just like, I don't know, I don't want nothing that's crazy now. You know? But just like, everybody remembers that first time when you're this blazed as hell. So blazed.
And there's always, I feel like the story is I was sitting outside, the weather was not like, and maybe because it just feels so good. Like even you sharing that story, I think about some of my favorite times outside with people and the conversation just being like so on point. Like, you can't replicate that. One of my most favorite times smoking, and I call this still like my most favorite day ever. It was in Panama. And it was off on an island. And we were there for one of my wife's work trips. And one of the guys there was like, hey, I found this island and we can take a ferry and let's go. And, I was like, okay. And so me and my wife and 3 guys went off by ourselves to Contadora Island. And we found some weed there. And we went to a beach where as the tide went out, it was exposed. Sea glass was everywhere. We had music playing on like what was it? Like the pill or whatever, the like little portable thing, rolling joints. So I will remember that feeling the rest of my life. Like how that moment was with the 5 of us. And we still every year, a picture will pop up. It's at the end of February, and I share it because it is. All 5 of us said it. We would never be able to recreate that day ever again. And I just, man, that's the kind of memories and connections that happen. Yeah, and I could never say that about a time I drank.
Yeah, because the days I've been drinking, they either left me either throwing up or I can't remember nothing. It's just a tore up moment. But were you anxious going on the boat with like 3 guys you didn't know?
Oh, well, we knew they worked with my wife. So I would never be on one country with 3. I've watched way too much crime TV to know what happens in that scenario. And I'm way too mouthy not to be killed real quick. So no, they're with guy friends of hers that they just, wanted to kind of go off the beaten path with everyone else. And there's only 100 people live on this island. And the guy who brought us in from the boat was the same guy that rented us the golf cart, which later was the guy who fed us lunch. And that's who we bought the weed from. I'm like, wait. So we could have just done all of this in one stop instead of keep coming back to you with it. But it was perfectly amazing. I think being in nature and consuming cannabis is one of my favorites.
Yes, you can feel the breeze, the music is just enhanced. It's like all of your senses just come out.
Yeah.
I know.
We will be there.
Yes.
One love. We will be there for sure. Soon enough. Well, I'm so thankful that you could make time tonight after working so hard. I appreciate literally every single person, from dispensary worker to grower to processor to grocery store to UPS, the list goes on and on. the fact that, and I hope this is the great change that is made, the fact that you're essential, we now know who should get most of the money in life. So I hope like we start to recognize where society is like held together. It's not held together by anybody sitting in a CEO C-suite that's made ridiculous amount of money doing anything. It's all you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for inviting me.
Of course. Yeah. I can't wait till we can be mermaids together.
I know. Come soon.
I will. Have an amazing evening and happy 420.
All right. Happy 420. Thanks. You.
See you later.
So I had 3 short stories. How's that?
Perfect. I love it all.
Right. I wrote them down because I was going to forget. So that's like the common theme of this whole thing is that every time I'd go to think about some of these stories, I forgot. So I'm like, I had to like go through my phone and like text some people like, hey man, do you remember that one time we got really baked and like this and that happened? And you know, most people were just like, what? Like, nah, dude, it was fucked. But okay, so I came up with three instances that I was like, that whenever I think of like a crazy experience, I think of this, all with cannabis related. So the first one was last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember, but the again, that's going to be a common theme, can't remember.
It's all good. Nobody's been able to put it.
So we were at Lock-In Music Festival. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's a bunch of deadheads and hippies, and it's like a 3-day thing, and it's just so trippy in every way. And my dad came with us, and my dad's kind of been on this like new journey of like, you know, he got his medical medicinal card, and like he has all of this stuff, and he's like loving the culture. And so we were in this awesome space together, and we just got incredibly ripped. His favorite thing is I forget the brand, but it's the iced tea lemonade.
Dixies.
Yes, that's it. Yep. Those will get me to the absolute moon. He'll drink probably half the bottle and be fine, and then I drink 10 milligrams worth in a shot, and like I start looking at the clouds like there's aliens approaching in some sort. So I had a moment like that, and that's like how I get with any edible or anything. I just get super paranoid and freak out. And so that was like definitely but it was great because it was with my dad, and Allie was there too, and we had just like such a good experience all together. It was a really fun, exciting time, I feel like.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that is really fun.
I'll reveal my other 2 after Alex goes.
Okay.
How about that?
All right. Yeah, I gotta
we'll go popcorn.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I had a couple short stories. Really brought me back to my high school days, because that's really when I started smoking, discovered it for the first time. I don't think I smoked till sophomore year of high school, but I was the first person in my class to get their license and have a car at the same time, right?
Oh,
so I was picking, and it was summer right when I got my license. So I was picking everybody up every night at like, we'd all text each other like 1 a.m. Everyone would sneak out. My friend Huggins would jump out his window and like we'd all pile into my Nissan Xterra and go for blunt rides, right? But so that's what we did. We went for a blunt ride, and then we went to McDonald's, because what else do you do after a blunt ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back then, the McDonald's app, I don't know if you ever got the McDonald's app, but they would give you free, like all sorts of free food on the app all the time. And if you re-downloaded the app, like as soon as you download it, you get a bunch of free stuff. So you could just re-download the app and use a fake email because they didn't have confirmation. And we were getting McFlurries and Big Macs for free every night. I swear, we would go to the same McDonald's too. So we all go to McDonald's, and of course it's such a hassle when you're like screaming out the window, like, we got the app, like everything, like, and they're all pissed off because they know we're just like scamming them for all sorts of money. So we get like McFlurries and like nuggets and French fries, and we go back to my mom's house, and we're about to smoke another blunt in the shed, because we'd always get 4 people, because back then a gram was $20, and everyone would just throw in 5, and then we'd all, you know, smoke two real skimp blunts.
Little Virginia Slims.
Oh yeah. So we went out to the shed, and we're all like munching. There's music going. I think we were all trying to freestyle at the time. And then we sparked the blunt. So the blunt's going, passing it around, and it's like 2:30 in the morning, and like the shed is boxed like to the max. And the door, I remember the door was like real messed up on the shed. Like we had to use like a broomstick on the inside to like keep it from like swinging open, because it was like warped or something. And like all of a sudden we hear this like light like rustle on the door, and then the door like flies open, like it's about to like come off the hinges, and my mom is just like standing there in her pajamas and she's like, what the hell is going on out here? And for some reason no one turned and looked at her. We all just like stopped and like paused for like, I swear, like a solid 10-15 seconds, like she was just gonna go away or something. But yeah,
nobody move.
Go away.
Like we thought she was just gonna like leave. I was like, pretend like she's like, I don't even know, dude. But that was so funny. And then she ended up driving everyone home. But
oh my god.
Yeah, dude, that was some funny times, and that's how it always was back then. Just I would pick and then they would like fall asleep at my house until like we'd all wake up at like 5 a.m. and I'd have to drive everyone home, and everyone would be like climbing back in windows and stuff at like 5 a.m.
Jesus,
looking like they're robbing the place. But yeah, man, it was wild.
That is awesome. Did you get your ass beat?
No, I probably got a real stern talking to, but then I went downstairs and probably did it again the next night. I was a real delinquent back then.
Then?
Yeah, not like now, not like now.
Awesome.
Thought that story came out a lot better than
it was perfect. I think that's a great story.
What was yours, Jill?
So my first time was, the first time I did it, I didn't really like feel anything, but it was at a barbecue, and it was right about when I was realizing I was a lesbian, and this girl that I was like super attracted to was going to hotbox me, and my friends like took pictures of how dipshitted I looked as I did it, like trying to be cute. It just, it was a complete disaster. Probably one of the most embarrassing moments ever. And like, not hotbox. What is it called? See, I don't even know the term. When they blow it in your...
Or like, a shotgun.
Shotgun. That's right. So she was shot. That's why it was so weird. No, shotgunning. So it just, I was nervous. You guys know I'm awkward as fuck. So just put all that situation together, and that's what happened then. So everyone makes fun of it still. Like the first time Jill smoked weed, I just kind of like stood there like and let her blow it in my face. What?
You still have the photo?
It's probably on my old LG like flip one that I
you
still
need
have.
to like have people like Patreon users only for $10 a month. They get access to that photo or something.
Jill, the first time she awkwardly, you could just tell I was not supposed to be doing that.
Oh my gosh,
that's amazing.
That's
first
so
time
funny.
I smoked weed was with my buddy, and we decided to go to the back someone else's house, like down the street in our neighborhood, and we just hid between a bush and the HVAC unit and smoked a bowl. Like if anything were to happen, that'd be the worst place to do it, right? Like you're just some random, like, what are you guys kids doing? It's like, it's not our parents. Like what the, I don't know why we thought that would be fun to do or like safer than like our backyard. But
it's because our frontal lobes aren't hardened. We don't have reasoning yet, and so that just makes sense when you're that way.
Oh my.
Yeah. In layman's terms, I was a fucking idiot. That's what you're meant to say.
Yes. Just a nice way.
Yeah.
The first 2 times I smoked weed, I didn't even get high because I was smoking oregano, and my friends told me it was weed. I literally, the first 2 times I smoked, they made me smoke oregano out of a tin can.
Wow.
And I thought I was smoking weed on them. It was disgusting.
That that is very gross. I think I messed up the order.
I got.
You guys said your best time, and I just said so I'll give you my best time. And then, so I think probably I think all of them are great times, right? But probably one of my most favorite was fall of 2018. We had just done the launch party for MaryJane in Maryland, and any cannabis event that had been thrown in Maryland had always been put on by us so far. So I never really got to enjoy what it was like to be at one of those events. And Remedy in Columbia did this festival, and it was me and my brother and Colleen, and my brother's the one who kind of taught me all about cannabis. And I have never been so ripped before, and I just danced and laughed, and still I can like feel the sun on my face when I think about like how awesome that was. Like we rolled up with like 8 blunts rolled each, because we're at an event that you couldn't pass, and I just Henny and the Stoner Gangs had this song playing, and he like has this verse that was like me and MaryJane, and like called me out in the crowd, and I like about died because that is who I am as a person. And yeah, it was one of my most favorite times ever smoking it.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds so special.
Yeah, I can't wait till we can do the party I'm going to throw after this. Yeah.
I'm going to be hugging strangers on the street. I'm so excited.
I don't even like to hug people, and I'm just going to be hugging, holding, like, I have to know you really well to hug you. And so, yeah, now I just see people and I'm like, I'd hug them. And I'd hug them.
If they're even going to let us hug anymore, it might be a law. It might be getting tickets for PDA,
Misdemeanor.
Yup.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I've got another one.
Yeah.
I mean, like definitely that feeling of like where it's like the greatest thing in the world, and it's just like you're just in bliss. Like that was that lock-in experience for sure. The opposite of that is in college. I was we went out to the bars, and we were probably out till like they closed basically. Shit house drunk, just like however old I was, under or equal to 21. But when we'd go back to every night was the same routine. We'd go out to the bar, we'd be shithouse drunk, we'd come back, and we would just smoke until we pass out. And typically like you were saying, Krebs, like, someone might throw a beat down, and the next thing you know is we got a little freestyle thing going on. I don't know what it is with white guys and like thinking they can rap when there's weed being passed around, but I don't know. I blame Snoop Dogg for the influence on that one. Thinking that's okay, but actually to caveat to that story, or just side note, is that one of the guys who we rapped with, we went to spring break in Cancun, and he won the MTV rap competition for freestyle. Big white dude, like, and it was, you never would have thought he was going to win. we used to call him White Lightning. But okay, so anyway, we're all smoking. We're doing this stupid little routine. And I had never done a dab before. I probably had like a little one before, but I decided like it's time to go to Space Mountain and, one-way ticket to the Astroplane.
Oh, yeah,
so I do the dab, and it's immediately like, a glob that I just coughed for the next like 5 minutes. And mind you, like I probably had over 10, 15 drinks at night. Like I'm talking like vodka and like beer and everything under the sun. I mean, I was so wasted, and I did that, and it was the biggest hit I'd ever done. I couldn't stop coughing, and I'm like trying to sit down on the couch and relax and like try to calm myself down. I probably had slammed a gallon of water at that point. Still couldn't stop coughing, and I'm like, I just gotta go to bed. Like, I'll just go to the room. So I go to the room, and I'm the only one in there, and like they're also partying upstairs, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna lay down and I'll get back to it. And it's like, nope. As soon as I lay down, the room is spinning upside down. I go to the bathroom, and for whatever reason, I decided, and I don't remember this, but my friends told me that I took all my clothes off. And so I'm naked in the bathroom, throwing up profusely in the sink, in the toilet, in the tub. In that order. And then at one point I look up at myself, and like, you know, everything moves in slow motion, and like you see 3 or 4 of yourselves. That happened, and I kid you not, I thought I was being pulled out of the Matrix. Like, I really thought that the machine was coming off and I was getting out, and I was pretty pumped at that point. I'm like, this is it. You know, we're getting out of here. And
oh my gosh,
I took the red pill or whatever. And then so then anyway, none of that happened. I just was throwing up more. and then I went to the wrong room. We had a 2-bedroom and the other guy's room. So I'm butt naked and he's asleep, and it's like 3 a.m. and I walk in, and I climb into bed, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, Jeff, wrong room. And I'm like, dude, get out of my bed. Like, I was just so fucked. I didn't recover for like 3 days after that. I was like, I can't smoke weed anymore. I'm not drinking anymore. 3 days later, I went back out and did the same thing. But, you know, yeah, I learned my lesson to take the dab in half this time. But yeah, that was the worst time.
A dab will get you.
The worst time of my life, probably, I've ever smoked. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that same problem with this like edible lemonade my friend had made. So he made like tincture and then mixed it with like lemonade and like Kool-Aid and stuff. And I bought a bottle from him, and then I was here at my parents were gone. I was like, all right, definitely time to drink this. So I drank half, and it was, you know, have you ever had like an edible that is just it tastes so much like weed, it's just kind of like too overpowering? Or no?
Well, that was the taste of weed, so yeah, I've not had one like that yet.
It was like this. It was just this real overpowering taste of like oily tincture, maybe.
Ew.
And I drank that, and about 30 minutes into it, I was spinning everywhere. Every time I closed my eyes, it was like I was like have you ever seen Interstellar, when he's like flying through that like other dimension? Like that's what it looked like every single time I closed my eyes, and it was it was honestly scaring me. Like,
that's the truth.
I was genuinely freaked out, and so I was on the ground like cuddling with my dog to like feel like I was actually present in the room. And then as soon as my parents get home, I just start like throwing up like I've never thrown up before. I was on the toilet for like 4 hours, and they had no idea that I was from an edible. But afterwards, when I told them, they were like, you're such a dumbass.
Man, I've never had an experience like that with edibles. Like they don't
only
react
had
to
experiences like that with edibles.
Actually, though, I could tell my friend Shelly's story. I feel like there's something to getting naked when you have too much THC. So guy she was seeing brought an edible over, and she didn't like pay attention to it, or just didn't understand like what the dosing is. Or she watches what I do and thought, oh, this isn't going to mess me up. And so at 2 a.m., I get a call that's completely incoherent, in between like retching of vomiting. She's completely naked. She's thinking she's dying. And she keeps talking about this like gummy that she had taken. And it was like a 2-hour trip that she had. And I like was on the phone with her the whole time. And I'm like, why are you naked?
Jesus
She's like,
Christ.
I just needed to take my clothes off. They don't feel good. I'm like, okay, lay down, take a cold shower. And she probably threw up for like a half a day from that little gummy. It was like 150 milligrams.
Jesus. Little
gummy.
That's a lot.
Oh. Is it? Just kidding. It doesn't process in my body the same way it does yours.
For sure.
So like THC turns to delta hydroxy 9 when you smoke it and 11 when it goes through your liver. So I can take an edible. I just get high in 5 minutes and it's really quick and it goes away. So it's just kind of not the same like effect. So I guess I could overdo it and feel it for a little bit, but it doesn't last like very long.
I envy that so much. I literally will take an edible and it's like an acid trip. I'm on this road for 8 hours straight. I have and that's like 10, 20 milligrams, like nothing. And I'll just be riding high. Like, and I say riding high, it's like I'm questioning life and its existence and like, what are we doing on this rock? We're spinning in space. I mean, the world is crumbling but I mean, at the end of the day, I kind of like it. So it's
so you just keep doing it.
It's like freaking out when like nothing's really going on. You just know you're freaking out. But yeah, I can't take an edible and just chill. Like that doesn't happen for me. I have to be active on a hike, at a concert. I mean, last concert I was at, I took 40 milligrams. I thought everyone around me was like CIA or something. And I thought that band on stage was like signaling to people in the audience. And I don't know. I mean, that's the daily life of edibles with me. But I can smoke joints all day long. That's like completely fine.
Yeah. I went to a like infused dinner in DC and everyone, they had all the milligrams. And so, I was just putting more butter on the bread and then they had tinctures that you could add to stuff and everyone at the table was like, what? I'm like, what? I'm going to go out and smoke a blunt. And I walked out and smoked a blunt and then came back and ate and they're like, oh my God, how are you just still standing? I'm like, I don't know. Just doesn't do the same thing to me.
Yeah, I wish.
Insane.
Yeah. But one day, maybe I just need to blast off. Have you ever seen that 2 Chainz video? Where
I've seen a lot of his videos, yeah.
Where he tastes like the most expensive weed or something.
Didn't he have a series on Vice about that? Like most expensive? So. Yeah.
They basically several times had to cut because he was doing just 200 milligram like slice and they were like, no, you got to stop. And he was just next level off the chart.
Yeah, he was like rubbing tincture on all of his joints and stuff. And they were like, hey, be careful. That's like a really potent.
It's just like.
Did he smoke it? Was he just fine?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
fine is relative, but
yeah,
he was.
I mean, he didn't die. Like he didn't have a terrestrial experience of any sort. I mean that.
Yeah.
What is it with rappers that can just withstand so much weed? Like Snoop Dogg, right? Like Wiz Khalifa. Like although Snoop Dogg said that he said what do you say? Willie Nelson could smoke him. He's the only person to do that, but
I don't doubt that Willie could. If you look at it from like a medical stance, like, cannabis helps fill the voids of your endocannabinoid system. So maybe some people's systems are really deficient and maybe it like takes more. I think tolerance has a lot to do with it. Like,
what's an endocannabinoid system?
So it's your like, it was discovered in the 80s. They teach about it in medical school, but it's kind of like your what is it? Your like receptors, you're in your brain, the thing. I've had a lot of weed today. So like your neuron transmitters, like your pain receptor, all of those, where your endocannabinoid system is kind of like your nervous system. And it has CB1, CB2 receptors. So the only things that go in there are CBD and cannabinoids. And so that's what I think like the next millionaire will be, is the person who figures out how to test for endocannabinoid deficiencies in people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so does a deficiency just happen just genetically, or is it like predetermined?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. Like, I think with all medical conditions, I think it could be environmental. Like if you're in a harsh environment, it could create issues and vice versa.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that's why. Or, you know, I think if you smoke a lot of weed, eventually you get used to functioning, consuming that much, right? Like, it's not, just doesn't make you as high. And I think situation has a lot to do with it. Like if I would only smoke one blunt, but we were in a situation where we were just having a good time laughing, that would appear like I had had a million of them, because I would just be in that state where if I'm working, I'm not in that state. So it's just to kind of like keep anxiety down so it doesn't do the same thing to me as the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you an article on the ECS. It's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that sounds great. I mean, yeah, I'm like the opposite effect. It's like my anxiety increases when I take large amounts of weed, but except for, I don't know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, mainly for edibles, right? Where it digests in the liver and things like that.
I think, so I found, like once you start to look at terpenes is when you can like stop anxiety with smoking. So if I have anything, like I can smoke a really heavy sativa as long as it has like a combination of Tylenol and myrcene in it. Pinene, if it's just something that's heavy pinene, will give me a panic attack. Pinene is a bronchodilator and something that, you know, anxiety has a lot to do with your breath. And so if you're flooding your system with something that's opening up your airwaves, it's triggering a reaction that is much like anxiety. And so with anxiety, it's like a chicken or an egg kind of thing. So your body has a reaction thinking it has anxiety, so therefore it has anxiety. Once I realized that pinene, and it could be alpha pinene or beta pinene, once I realized that, I stopped having panic attacks with cannabis.
Wow. That's awesome.
So you like shift the strain that you're using to just figure out which one works best, I guess, right?
Yep. Yeah, G6 is like, that strain works amazing for me. And any other strain isn't as good. Like, it's just whatever's in that works, like, especially for me. And then I know, like, at night, like, for this, I can use that. But yeah, it's having a lot of different ones, I think, helps do it too.
Wow.
Yeah. Trial and error.
That's right. That's right. And then sometimes you just get naked and throw up everywhere.
Yep. Yep. And you know what? I don't regret a thing, because
you shouldn't.
That was a breakthrough for sure.
No. You shouldn't.
I have one more, and that was probably. I have one more, and I have a few runner-ups. So I'm just gonna bring them. I'll just say them all. One was a hot tub in Whistler, Canada. It was like the first time I traveled out of the state or country for work for the first time. And it was with a big client, and we sat in a hot tub for all day, pretty much 6 hours, just smoking joints nonstop, and had like the most incredible business breakthroughs, like with the people I was with.
That's awesome.
On just like, in business and like mainly personal, but like translated it, to business. So like those conversations happen. So that was just incredible. The other runner-ups I have was, like Krebs was saying, blunt rides in the morning before school, because just hated everything about school, and those were the greatest mornings in the world. Ocean City senior week, we went and got the best weed I'd ever had when I was probably still, like, just thinking about the best stuff I've ever had. It was just the greatest weed I've ever smoked, and we bought 2 ounces of it and brought it down for 5 or 7 days or whatever when we finished all of it. And like, it was just to like be that guy when like we went to the party and it's like, oh, Jeff, did you bring any weed? And I was like, did I bring
Yeah,
any weed?
man.
You know what I mean? Like, I've got 7 blunts rolled up for tonight. And, you know, it was like the greatest thing in the world.
And I'm grateful that we get to share a little bit of 420 love by sharing some of our favorite cannabis experiences. So, Gwen, would you share with one of your favorite ones with us?
Yeah, one of my favorite ones. So I was never really into cannabis growing up because my mom is in forensics. She was in the field and now she's in the lab, and my dad was a correctional officer. So if you can imagine, it's like, no, wait for you. So I didn't even start dabbling until I was way over 23, 4 is when I started. And that, you know, I was Snoop and half baked. That was me. So I would just come to the parties and like, and then just leave, you know? Like, yeah, thanks. Never bought anything and never rolled anything, but I am the party bum. That is me.
At least
I'll
you
cook
know
you
it.
food, though. I'll cook everybody food.
There
That's
you
my
go.
Yeah, my friend, she was having a party, and we were having some alcohol, made some wine. We were doing lots of different things, artist community, so we had so much fun, like just doing random things. And it was crazy because they're like, okay, so we have this marijuana. What are we gonna do with it? What are we gonna make? We gotta eat something. And I'm like, well, let's make brownies. No one had made edibles in this house before. It was pretty nuts. So I had no idea about the science or anything. And then, you know, we did it the old school way. But the one thing I did remember saying is like, just make sure it's dry. So we did like dry it out in the oven for like water content. Little and behold, that has nothing to do with anything. But it did activate it some more. So we just brown it up and throw it in the brownie, and we ate it, and it was a decent brownie. It was a vegan brownie, and it was good.
Okay. So wait, let me understand this. You just like sauteed the weed?
We put it in the oven, like, so we didn't
gotcha.
because we didn't know what the hell that was anyway. So we put it in the oven to dry it out because I was like, I don't want to add any more water to
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
to the recipe, because when you're baking, if you add an extra liquid, just kind of fuck it all up.
Did you guys
add dry ingredients all day?
Did you feel anything?
Oh yeah. It was definitely, I would say, like half of a high. But we were also consuming jungle juice, so it was nice.
Didn't
it was
matter.
A nice mix, so I can't complain.
I'll never
I didn't get any hangover or nothing else, so I'm good.
There you go. I'll never understand why everybody does edibles the first time with no recipe. Like I just remember the first time I did it. It was like, psh.
I think it's just like a whim. You're like, what are you doing? I don't know. We should cook with this. Why? It's an herb. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. Use it like an herb.
Yeah, the first time we made brownies, we just put maybe, like we had 2 sticks of butter and we put maybe like 2 tablespoons of ground flour. And then we put it in the butter and we like stirred it for 10 minutes. And then we took that butter and took the weed out and then put it. And the brownies were like, we don't feel what is this? Nothing happened here. No recipe. Just like
you got the essence, the cannabis essence is what you.
It did taste like it. That was before I loved the taste of cannabis. Like now, I want to know that it's in there. Like I want to taste it. Well, Gwen, I'm so excited.
Well, yeah, and it's also different from street weed to dispensary stuff because, let's be honest, I mean, that stuff doesn't have much terps.
No, that's
literally
true.
like brick mattress weed back in the day, so it's not like
yeah.
It would not be flavorful like at all. Like that's probably one of the reasons why people were washing their cannabis with water when they were making their butter and stuff, is because it does taste terrible if it's grown like crap.
That is true. We are very spoiled with our medical cannabis, especially in Maryland with everything that we have. We're lucky.
Well, I've always kind of known that medical cannabis was doing something for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an activist for medical cannabis since I was in middle school writing papers on it.
Yep.
All the way up to my senior year. And I still have some of those papers I wrote back in grade school. And I didn't actually start using it in a medical sense. Like I just kind of smoked never actually started taking it seriously medically. Past year and a half, when I started making my own medicine, my own capsules, my own food, it's been tremendous being able to use the terpenes and find out what terpenes do what and what they help with.
Yeah.
I have come so far, and it's helped me progress so much just in this past year and a half.
That's awesome. And it's so cool that it's so new, because for me, it's pretty new too. So it's like eye-opening, and I'm still learning every day.
Absolutely. When I lived in California during the medical process, they didn't have terpenes and stuff like that. It was more of like a party scene. This Maryland medical community we have here is amazing.
Oh, yeah. When I went to California the first time, and I was like, can I see the terpene profile? And they're like, we don't have that. I was like, oh, wait, let me talk to someone on your medical side. They're like, no, we don't test for that. And I'm like, ew, what?
Wow.
How am I supposed to? What?
Yeah.
Do you know what a cannabinoid is?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that with us. And I know you advocate so hard, and I've loved watching you help Cecil County understand how it can be used as medicine. What about you, Jessica?
Wait, what was the question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so either like share your first time you ever consumed cannabis, or maybe one of your favorite times, or when you realized like medical cannabis was working for you.
Oh, I'm actually gonna when medical cannabis started working for me.
Nice.
It's when I started noticing myself being able to get off the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
And that was the first step to many. Every single time you medicate is an important part of progressing forward. So they're all equally important. But yeah, like that, when I first noticed, was like, hey, I can get off these pills. I don't need them like that anymore. I feel like I'm getting better. So,
yeah.
Yes.
It's almost like, did you feel like you had a path that opened up to you that you didn't know existed?
Yes.
You just kind of knew this is what life was going to be like. But then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be this way.
Yes. Yeah. That's you're hitting the nail right on the head. There was like a path that opened up it was like an awakening. Wow. Yeah. There's more out there in life than what I realized, what I've been told for so long. And so it was cool. It was really neat. I feel very blessed. I really do.
Yeah, you guys are just a couple that has come together to help each other heal. Like, I watch you guys really support one another and push. And literally the change from the first time that I ever met you, I can see it in your face. Like, there is
tremendously
glowing today, like literally glowing. And so, I mean, truth to everything that you said. Yeah.
I feel so alive.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It's neat.
That is
cool.
awesome.
I mean, people say that they see the change. I'm like, wow, cool.
You have a rosiness in your cheeks that was not there before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt and looked like I was dying.
Yeah. Well, we all, at some point, if you are sick or had any addiction issues, that's all we were doing, just dying a little bit faster than everyone else so you could visibly like watch it. And so.
And now we're flourishing.
Right?
And that's now we're moving forward.
Progressing and encouraging others to progress.
Yeah, definitely.
I am so thankful that you guys are out there like spreading the word, telling your truth, and bringing what takes a lot of courage, because it is still very stigmatized
to absolutely
be who we are and to see it as medicine. So I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you for all that you do, Jill.
Yeah, thank you for what you do.
Stop.
So yeah, when I was about I guess 32 or something, around 32, I had decided to no longer take pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
And I did what is typically considered incorrect, which is just stop all of them. and the medicines that I was taking actually had led to different kinds of issues, things like tardive dyskinesia, things like that. So as I stopped, I got really, really sick. I lost about 50 pounds. It took a significant amount of time.
Holy hell.
Lost about 50 pounds. And the tardive dyskinesia that I was experiencing was really, really severe. So like my face had twitches, my body, obviously, it's a very palsy-like, symptomatically. And one day I was very, very sick, and I was basically going through pharmaceutical withdrawal. And I was super sick. I had lost a lot of weight, and I needed to use cannabis to stop the palsy activity, to be able to have, first to calm my nausea, which I couldn't eat or anything like that. And then second, to calm the palsy that was happening. And my father, who is an alcoholic and in AA for a very long time, and helps a lot of different people through that, wasn't really at that point. So about 9 years ago, he wasn't really at that point. And I don't think a lot of people were really open-minded yet, but he's pretty open-minded. So when I explained it to him, I was sort of talking in a palsy kind of drawl, and he couldn't really understand. So there's a lot of, it sounds like you're hyperventilating and a whole bunch of. So I just took basically like 2 hits in front of him, and then was able to have a normal conversation. Where prior to the 2 hits, it was unintelligible. I was bent over, all types of stuff. And it was just a real visual difference that he could tell. Was the only variable that was different was that I had smoked really, really a small amount of cannabis. And I think at that point, his mind went from, this is a gateway drug, to, there's more to this, and there's a lot more medicinal capacities when you use it in that kind of strategy. And he didn't know that until then. So that was pretty big. And now he's a pretty big supporter of people's right to choose that as a medicine.
That's pretty awesome for 2 reasons. One, in AA, they don't really teach that cannabis is okay, right? Because all substances. So for him to be able to see that and take something, and I mean, that's pretty fast, like amazing in and of itself.
Actually been able to use that and probably influence a lot more people in the AA community.
Yeah.
That we still talk about using it as an agent to sort of get out of certain types of addiction. But it's hard for me because I don't know how they do it. I don't know the steps. And he's quite competent in knowing those steps.
Yeah.
And the different avenues. He's worked in that kind of arena for a long time. So, but him changing his mind on that subject matter was pretty cool.
And the other thing is I have not heard you that bad, but in our friendship, I've heard you one time where you had speech issue because of, and I always say it wrong, the tardive
dyskinesia. Yeah.
And it was amazing how quickly after you smoked that settled so quickly.
Back then it was really extreme. I mean, people that were around me thought I was having seizures or different types of stuff. I mean, your face twitches, your body twitches, your hands shake like way more than they shake now. And you basically can't do the things that you need to be able to do with fine motor skills. But other than that, it's just really scary for people because you can't seem to communicate the same. So, and it's annoying. It's irritating for the person going through it. It scares the crap out of everybody else. They're like,
oh, well, yeah, because
you're like, ah.
They don't know what's happening.
And you're like, hand me a joint. And they're like, no, it's not going to help.
Maybe I'm going to call 911. Joint is not the answer.
It is the answer, though.
Well, yes. I know that.
Yeah, I know. But that's the same thing, right? That was a response, even way back then, was, let's call 911 versus I'll hand you a joint. And now it is, I'll hand you a joint.
Yeah.
I'll hand you your bowl.
Yeah.
Like what it is.
That's when you know you have a good partner, is when your significant other goes, you may need to take some cannabis right now. And I'm like, probably.
Yeah. Specifically, which kind? Because don't smoke that one right now.
And speaking of amazing partners, Bree, and it is your birthday today. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What experience would you like to share with us in honor of 420 social distance edition?
I was just the first time I had actually consumed cannabis, it was a rite to passage, I feel like, in our house to keep us from telling on the older people. So, it was just, my stepbrother shows up with the old-fashioned toilet paper roll with the aluminum foil, you poke a hole in it. Probably the only bowl I used for the first 5 years that I smoked, those kind of rolled up a pen around aluminum foil, but I was only 10. And he was 4 years older than me, so he was 14, and it wasn't much longer afterwards that I had to get my little sister high for the first time because she was going to tell on me. So that's how
you keep them from telling.
That's what happens.
Yeah, I did it, you did it, everybody's done it.
And then she was just laughing hysterically, and we're in our bedroom, which is 2 rooms over from my mom, and I'm like, you got to shut up, of course. So it was that whole thing. But we didn't get caught, really, so.
Yeah. Some of my favorite stories have been so far when they did get caught. And the last one I heard, they all just froze because in their mind, they're like, if we don't move, she'll go away. And finally the mom was like, I see you. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think the first time my mom suspected, which, my mom was a whole scenario. But anyway, I show up home and I guess at this point, maybe I'm 13, but we were like doing bong hits after bong hits or something. And I was pretty messed up. Pretty sure it was the only time I ever hallucinated on cannabis. And I come into the door and she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you want? And she has me in the car to go to the hospital. And I'm like, can they do a urinalysis if you're on your period? And that's how I got out of it. So
you are smart. And on that note, thank you guys so much for being part of the 420 show.
All right. Thank you.
And shout out to the High Five Initiative and your amazing shirts that you're wearing.
Oh, yes.
Guys, make sure you recycle your cannabis plastic, right?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
We're still picking up, everybody.
We're still picking up, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we have just 16,500
containers so far. So
nice. That is awesome. You're part of the show today to share. I couldn't think of a better way than for everyone to share either, the first moment that they used cannabis or one of their favorite. I know everyone has a million favorites, or when you realized it was more than just cannabis, it was medicine for you. And I thought those would be great stories to share on 420 to bring us all together.
Thanks for having me. I definitely appreciate including me in this.
Yeah. So what story would you like to share?
So I'll probably, so the second question that you sent over to me really stuck out. Like the time you realized it wasn't just like smoking weed with your friends. You're like, it's like a plant that's really going to be something. And there are really 2 moments. I talk about my sister a lot who passed away from cancer. And right as she was diagnosed as terminal, you realize that you step to other forms of medicine and other forms of pain management. So naturally, after they told us we were terminal, that she was terminal, that, we started medicating her with cannabis. And I saw that she got a lot better. Like her appetite came, color in her skin came back. She was more aware because she wasn't in so much pain, or she was still in pain, but it was manageable. She was able to think about something else and hold on to, the silver linings of and be consumed by her pain. And then after a while, her doctors found out, and they kind of scared us because we were not legal at that point. So we were still purchasing black market cannabis. That scared us enough to stop medicating her, because we really didn't know what we were getting. And if we got one bad thing, it could take what's really helping her and just completely turn her the other way. So, that kind of sparked my immediate kind of aggression to get into this industry and to be a voice here, because not having open access when I saw, with my own eyes, and somebody who I truly trust and loved and seeing them get better, to not have access to that wasn't fair. And that fairness of that whole industry really stuck with me. So when they had a medical program starting to bloom, I immediately applied for a bunch of different companies, interviewed with a bunch of different companies, and just really found that Culta aligned a lot with my values and keeping the integrity of the plant alive. So, that initially stuck out because she really is my driving reason behind my passion for the industry. But another experience stuck out too, which is one that has recently popped into my memory, which is, my parents are heavy cannabis smokers as well. Dad has been all my life. My mom has been since I was about 13. And I didn't really, I knew kind of, but it was hidden from me until, probably 20, after back from studying abroad and kind of was away for them for a while. Our boundaries kind of went away a little bit. So after now I knew for sure my parents smoked, but I never smoked with them. And it was kind of like an unspoken thing. Like they could smell it in my room, I could smell it in their room, but we just kind of ignored it. Like, don't ask. And so after I got this job with Culta and the industry, I got my card, and I was like, okay, can we drop the act now? Can we all smoke together? But I wasn't sure how to approach it. So Christmas Eve night, we have a tradition where we get to open, the gifts that we get for each other each. And so that night I was like, all right, I'm just going to bring out a blunt and just light it and start to pass it around, see what happens.
Oh my God, I love this.
Halfway through, I pull out my blunt and I light it. And my dad looks at me, he looks at my mom, and then my dad pulls out a blunt and he lights it. And I'm like, I've got the same idea. So that was the Christmas Eve where I finally smoked with both my parents and my brother. We opened Christmas gifts. It was, a very cliche moment, but it was
no, it's perfect.
That moment where I kind of realized this does not dictate the caliber of person that you are. This is not the stigma that is supposed to be surrounding this plant. My parents are upstanding citizens of society, my brother and I as well. There's no correlation between, what's in your heart and what's in your mind versus how you choose to medicate and live this lifestyle. So both of those stories really stuck out to me. But, I appreciate you bringing them to the forefront of my mind also, because I also get caught up in, the day-to-day stuff in this industry, and it's nice to be reminded of the reason you got into it in the first place.
So I would love to hear one of your favorite times ever consuming cannabis.
Okay. One of my favorite times of consuming cannabis was at the Cannabis Cup in Jamaica. It was actually the first one. The reason why it was so amazing is I was around a lot of moguls. I was around a lot of people in the industry and cannabis industry that are super amazing big companies right now. They were creating the culture, like Danny Danko, Strain Hunter, different people of that nature. A lot of the Jamaican culture was there. It was amazing because it was collective. We had it was the beach line. Everybody was smoking cannabis. The smiles, the energy. I loved it. That energy actually woke me up more into the cannabis culture. Actually wanting to spread that energy, and I carried it with me. Also, what was amazing is eating the different type of fruits and absorbing that culture also. So it was amazing feeling for me to be in that centerpiece.
Yeah. My favorite place, I can say, my favorite place I've ever smoked has been Jamaica.
That's your favorite place?
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
It is. And it could just be, I love the beach, right? So you're in Jamaica, you're at the ocean, you're in a place where the whole vibe is one love.
Yeah.
How is it not fucking amazing? And I don't even care, like some of when I started using medical cannabis, and I understand what happens when it's grown right. Even then I still would say still the best in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Have you been since their medical program for people who are not Jamaican has been up?
No, I haven't. I haven't. I gotta compare.
Yeah, we need to just do a trip, like maybe a Maryland field trip. And so I just went at the end of February, and Josh Casson, who used to work in the industry up here and now works down in Jamaica. I met him down there, and we went to the dispensary where it took 2 minutes to get my certification, became a medical patient in Jamaica, purchased my cannabis. It was just like in the States, right? Like there was a menu. Yeah, I feel like, I swear it was Cannaline bags. I feel like it was a name I recognized. And this was the best part. You walked out from the dispensary and you walked next door, and there was this amazing consumption lounge that was kind of like in a cliff, and you got a table and you got to roll your blunt or roll your joint as someone brought you drinks and food, and you just got to sit there and consume cannabis.
Dope. Can't ask for no more.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
moment.
Amazing. Yeah. You can relax, you don't have no worries. Right. You can talk to anybody you want.
Yep.
Right.
I love it. And every time we talk about vacation, I'm always like, let's go to Jamaica. And Colleen's like, we just went there. I'm like, I want to go back.
Yes. Yes. One of my favorite times when I used to do is when it's dark, it's late, sit on the shoreline, smoke one, looking at the sky, like that calming, waves coming past with that energy that comes.
Good.
Yeah. That's why I tell everybody they should travel. At least go down to the islands. It's amazing.
Yeah, it feels like, it's just a beautiful place to be, beautiful people. You can't get better than that.
Yeah.
So I probably could say of all my moments, no, I can't. Right now, that's my favorite because you spoke about Jamaica. But someone just told me a story about smoking with their dad for the first time. And I'm like, one of my favorite moments was this. And I'm like, we all have a million moments.
Dad was one of mine too.
Right?
Yeah. Because actually, cannabis brought me and my dad back together.
Oh, yeah, you told me that. Tell me that story.
Yeah, so basically, my father hasn't been in my life since I was young. Mother broke up, separation. And he never came around. So I basically had to, find out how to be a male my own way.
Yep.
So how we connected was, I think we started connecting when, his parents started dying. My grandma's parents started dying. Connection started getting, a little shaky. But then here recent, he found out that I was in the cannabis industry and came over one day. It was like, oh, I heard that you got CBD. I'm like, yeah, I have CBD.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you didn't tell me that such and such, such and such. And I was like, yeah. It's like, man, I got to start coming around a little bit more. We start talking about cannabis and, how I used to smoke it back in the day. And, we started vibing. And then, he was like, look, let's go smoke. And I was like, you serious? You trying to go smoke? Yeah, let's go smoke. Let's go talk. So actually smoking the cannabis broke our generational gap.
Yeah.
Of him not being there. He told me his story, why he wasn't. And I told him, my pains and worries that I had. And we squashed everything over the plant. Like, yeah. So that was one of my best moments. And ever since then, we've been building a relationship. Things have got better.
That's awesome.
So that's why this right here is amazing in my life because it gave me medication and it brought me my parent back. So, yeah. So shout out to the cannabis plant.
She is pretty fucking fantastic with what she can do. That's an awesome story. You know which one you want to answer?
I think I was going to do my first experience.
Okay. I'm excited to hear this because I don't think I've heard your first time.
All right. Well, it was more like a whole evening. It was at a really cool 7th grade basement party. Standard. So this guy, I don't know, he didn't go to my school. He shows up with like a, Ziploc baggie and all of the boys are like so excited. And I look over and they're like eating it out of the bag. And I'm like, okay, all right, I don't know anything. I'm a naive 7th grader. So anyways, they start, making joints and whatever, and we're smoking them, but it wasn't super exciting. But the guy who brought it ended up being my first makeout session in a game of spin the bottle. So
I mean,
I think I was more excited about that than the weed, but it was
Was that the same night?
Yes. Yes. And I don't even know his name. That's the worst part. I don't even know his name.
Was he your first kiss or no?
Yes. Yeah. It was like a ton
Your weed dealer
makeout.
was your first kiss?
Yes. Go figure.
And I wonder what he is up to now.
I don't even know his name. I remember he had blonde hair. He didn't go to my school, but he was the guy who showed up with the goods.
God bless him.
Yeah. Yeah. Memories.
That is a great story. That may be one of my favorites, just because it's the first kiss. I am very excited that you're on the show today, babe.
Are you? Are you though?
No, I'm not.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
I am. Okay. This is how a show with us would be.
No, it would be far more
we get
yelling.
used to it a little bit, but it's fun at first.
Is it? So,
oh, you can't share that with me because it says it right here. Oh, pub, don't pass.
Don't pass. Don't pass.
I can swear, right?
Yeah, you can swear.
Question. Okay.
Yeah. What other questions? Have you listened to my podcast before?
Nope.
Do you know what
Not
it's
a
about?
single episode. Nope.
Okay, so
I think it's about some woman named. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna go there. No, I have listened to her episodes in case anyone's wondering.
So, I'm very excited that you're finally here.
Me too.
And since you will be the person I celebrate 420 with.
That's true.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I get the honor.
I thought it would be great since everyone is sharing their favorite stories of cannabis consumption Oh my God, it's so late in the day.
I know.
She had a mastermind today. So you've been talking a lot today, and I've been talking a lot today.
Energetically a little drained and delirious.
However, we need to get this done.
And it's actually fun. Like, I'm having a good time. I'm having a really good time.
Yeah.
As I always do with my baby. When she's not bitching at me. Which is 90% of the time, so.
Which is why I have weed.
Basically. We did whittle it down to that's probably actually the number one reason why. What are you gonna do, right? Oh my God, is this gonna make the final cut?
Well, babe, no, he doesn't edit in between. So, like, we started. This is it.
Oh, okay.
You want to get it together, Rippy?
Yeah, ask me a motherfucking question.
I've been trying. Okay, so you and I have a similar favorite experience for using cannabis, and it was in an island off of Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us about one of your favorite cannabis consumption
Did you talk about this one yet?
I did, but I didn't give a lot of detail.
Okay. You know my memory sucks, so you may still have more detail, but feel free to chime in. This is Conversations with MaryJane, not Colleen. I'm hoping clever things come out. It's not happening. All right. So we are in... I don't actually know how to pronounce it. Contadora?
Yeah, Contadora.
Yeah. But I guess the backstory is we are in Panama because I was awarded a Cutco trip based on my sales in Cutco knives. Shout out Cutco. And we went annual trips to beautiful different Caribbean places and warm tropical places. And one year, don't remember what year, Jill may be able to weigh in on that.
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, feels like a while ago.
Yeah.
The destination was Panama, so we went to Panama. Of course, had a great trip as always with all the awesome Cutco reps along with, and we just decided to do a fun excursion one day off the beaten path, off the resort, and we went with. I hope I don't forget anybody. We went with Eric Chandler, Ryan Leach.
Yep, and Nick Santiago.
Yep. I didn't forget you, Nick. So yeah, it was a small, intimate group. It's basically the island is it's a small island right off of Panama. And I used to know the stats when it was fresh, but it was 100 people. Yeah, and they didn't actually drive any cars. They only drove golf carts. And yeah, I don't even remember the square mileage. Just you can imagine, it's a very small island. But because of that, very homey vibe. You get on there and
you got off the boat onto a smaller boat and then had to walk in the water.
Yeah, you had to walk in the water to even get on the island.
Yeah.
I think they just had one tiny, did they even have a runway? I think they had a tiny one.
They did have a tiny airport.
Yeah, and it was through the stretched across
we
the
actually
whole
drove
island.
on the
the
runway.
Yeah.
That was part of the road.
Yeah. So we went there. I don't remember the play-by-play, but I'm butchering the details. We did so many cool things that day.
Yeah, we had great food.
We started with a good meal, right?
Yep.
And the part that I remember, though, the part that does shine through, because the original question was, what's one of your favorite moments?
Yeah, using cannabis.
Yeah. And that day was definitely one of them, but specifically the moment when we went to this beach that was in this little hidden cove, and it was just the 5 of us or whatever, or 4, 5, yeah, the 5 of us, and did we buy it there?
Yeah, we had to find it.
So first we had to find it. Yeah, that was an adventure, wasn't it? Oh yeah, that was an adventure. I'm remembering it as I'm saying it.
Yeah, we drove around, and it ended up the guy who helped us get off the boat and rented us our golf cart for the day. and then cooked lunch for us was the same guy who sold the weed.
That's right.
Remember, we had to like come back
we made
down.
a big joke about how like we drive across the island and there he is in a new uniform, like doing a totally different job. And it's
one
like
guy.
just one worker who literally works at every establishment and just changes
like.
clothes. Yeah. That's what it did seem like. That was really funny. I forgot about that. So yeah, we were in this cove, and it was just one of those moments you can imagine. It was just like the perfect ambiance.
Yeah.
We had beautiful, clear crystal water, the waves coming in into this cove.
Like no one was around. You couldn't
White
see
sand.
us.
Yeah.
Because we were in this cove, and so we were kind of
Desolate.
protected.
Nobody else was around. It was
Mm-hmm.
like our own little. There were some tourists there, but they didn't see this little cove that we found. So we hunkered
we had to
down
hike to get there, right?
Yeah, we had to
Like,
hike a little
up
bit on the
rocks
rocks
and
stuff.
down.
Because we wanted to get away from people and just kind of do our thing, chill out. So we went across the rocks.
I thought I saw something in your teeth. I'm
Is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, I was like, oh god.
You would have just gone. That's what I would have done. Just right in the middle of it. So we hiked over there, and then luckily Ryan Leach, shout out Ryan Leach. He had a amazing playlist, which I still listen to a bunch of those songs to this day because I'm sure you'd agree. All right. Sometimes I want you to chime in, and sometimes I want to get to the key words.
My bad.
So, so Ryan Leach had this great, now we call it a vibin' playlist, but it was just the perfect down tempo kind of like ooh, with like like just a slow beat, but like got the instrumentals in there and like, man, I just so it's just perfect music. He had
Eric
a little
Chandler
speaker.
played some too.
Oh, he did.
Remember,
All right.
that's where we heard both of those. So
Oh,
they
true.
both
All right.
had
Yeah,
great
Ryan
music.
Leach. Yeah. Okay. I got to give shout outs to both in case they both see this. They both get music cred because everybody appreciates a good DJ and to be acknowledged for that. So both of you gents, well done. And Eric Chandler in other moments too has shined through with the good music.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and both of their music is now on our Vibe and playlist cumulatively. So the music really makes it because you know how songs take you back to a time and place. So still today when we hear those songs, we think about this moment.
You're shaking everything.
I know, baby. You know,
You're
I'm
making me
fidgety.
seasick.
I'm fidgety.
What everyone's thinking. They're getting seasick.
They don't
Watch
see
it.
it.
Put your elbow
Only
down.
you see it. I want to. You're distracting me.
You're distracting me.
So can I finish?
Shaky ass.
Or do you want to finish since you're so anxious to tell the story?
No, you can finish.
So we were listening to the music, vibing out, chilling, smoking. It just created the best. I mean, the best word I can think of is ambiance, the best environment. And it was just with awesome people, the most beautiful scenery you can imagine, nowhere else to be, nothing to do in the best way, like just true relaxation and calm. And I remember just feeling really happy, like just content in that moment with my life. Like got my beautiful wife by my side.
Wasn't your wife then?
Oh, got my beautiful side chick there.
Yeah, I was still girlfriend then.
You're still side chick, yeah. You didn't know about the other bitches.
She's got no game. I don't even why would you bring that up when I
Oh my god, I'm so excited for people to watch this. So yeah. So I'm trying to embellish everything I can. Is there anything else I missed?
No, it's just a great day.
Yeah,
like overall, like you couldn't have picked. I mean, as we kind of floated home, we all said like we would never be able to create that day again.
Yeah.
Like it was such a mismatch of people who just kind of came together at the last minute. And it wasn't even like a real tour setup. Just Ryan had figured out some great places to go. And
yeah,
for me being so like nervous Nelly all the time, it was crazy that I said yes to like go on.
Yeah, I do love when you're spontaneous like that.
Yeah. So it was like top 5 day of my life.
Yeah.
Easily. Still.
Yeah. We didn't even like, we went to the beach earlier that day. We didn't have like towels or anything. Didn't we?
No,
Just like,
we just left. Like, I don't know what we were thinking.
I know.
But we just,
it's cool
went.
that remember it as such a great moment. And it's a good lesson to know that we were ill prepared, but that it didn't affect how we perceive the day at all. Like it just shows like that. Those are just details that don't matter. Like you'll always just figure it out.
Oh my God. Didn't I have like an insurance issue? Like, remember coming back? Yeah, it was a great,
I don't remember that.
That moment was great. As soon as we came, like we just kind of left a bunch of stuff and went to this great moment. I'm just remembering like how unlike it was of me in that moment to say yes to that.
And you're right. It was like a crew that, I mean, we were friends with all of them, but like
not very close.
Not very close. But that that experience brought us all closer together. So we'll always share that.
Contador Island.
Share that memory.
If you're ever off Panama, I highly suggest it.
Yeah.
And find our guy. Tell him we sent you.
Yeah. Just whatever guy you see, that's got to be him because he's the only guy on the island.
You're adorable. I don't even know what to say to you now. Well, thanks.
You know when I do this pose.
Yeah. I don't know what it means, but well, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. It was a long commute.
It was. Came from around the corner.
Studio B. We do call this Studio A because it's got a nice backdrop. And then we have Studio B in our second bedroom. That's just, what would you call it?
It's my 12-year-old's bedroom.
Buster.
Yeah, it's working on it.
Yeah.
Well, one time I'll have you come back and we'll talk more about cannabis and how the changes you've noticed and how we use it in our life. And we'll share more of our life.
If anybody gives a shit.
You're feeling some kind of way today.
I am. Let me just share.
Maybe you
just so everyone knows.
Just know this is not your general demeanor.
Okay, here's the difference. I showered today.
She did shower today.
And I got ready and I put on a little bit of makeup. So I'm feeling some type of way. Because when you get really used to being ugly all the time and just not put together.
You're not ugly. You're just greasy as fuck.
Yes, very greasy. Haven't washed my hair in a long time. I hadn't really gotten dressed or put together. So it was nice because I hosted an event earlier today. So forced me to shower and do some things.
Yeah.
So it comes with its own level of douchery. My bad.
No. She's like this.
Yeah. Probably always a little bit.
Well, say happy 420 to everyone.
Happy 420, everybody.
Thanks for coming on and sharing one of my favorite experiences too.
Thanks, baby. Love you. Should we kiss? Or is that awkward? Let's not.